Grey Cup game. The first half of the 1965 Grey Cup game is brought to you by 7-Up and the 7-Up bottler in your community. 7-Up, where there's action.
To turn the first half of this show over to a couple of our friends. Ray Boucher is ready to go with that coin toss ceremony. So come on in, Ken Newens from CHAB Musha and Brad Keene.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Real pleasure to have it today.
Game,
yeah, you were talking to Neil Armstrong of the boys over there. Oh, there he is. You're going to bring him in a little later on with Jack Jacobs. And I see we just get the word from referee Ray Boucher. They want to get going with that coin toss ceremony. John Barrow, the captain of the Tiger Cats, is ready and waiting. So we've been out here shivering for a while. It's all yours.
Thanks very
much. Okay, we'll see you.
Bye,
boy.
Well, we're just ready for the tossing the coin ceremony, and I think while we are waiting for it, I'll just see if there. Are you all set to go, Ray?
Waiting for the Winnipeg captain, I believe, Brad. As soon as the Winnipeg captain goes over, they'll probably be ready.
I don't know. Have they been talking about the wind coming off the lake? I guess they have.
I guess they have. I would imagine. This is as cold a day as you'll ever find. I'll tell you this, about 30 below back in the prairies right this afternoon.
Well, it's been snowing intermittently, not a heavy snow, but just enough to make you think and realize that winter is here and it's not going to go away. And there's a tremendous wind coming off the lake, which is going to make this a definite one-sided ball game, I would say.
Okay, I guess we'll bring in, we're all ready for the coin toss? Not quite. We'll bring in Neil Armstrong, possibly. We got time for Neil. Neil, would you like to come on in here?
Bring something warm with you.
Yeah. Bring Neil Armstrong in, the head coach of the Eskimos. And Neil, what are the deciding factors in this game that we don't already know?
Well, I think the wind is the answer today, Ken.
Could this mean that anybody could win, not necessarily the best club, or not?
Well, I certainly think so. I think that the team that makes a mistake on the kicking game, certainly it could be a big factor.
I suppose there's a particular knack of how to kick into the wind, is there?
Well, there is. The kicker has to hold the ball a little longer before it hits his foot, because if he lets it go, naturally the wind is going to throw it off. I've been watching Ulmer and Fugger kick before the game, as well as Dick Thornton, and they've been kicking pretty well, I think, against the wind, Ken.
Well, we certainly hope anything that we don't have too many miscues, and Neil, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. It's been
okay, Neil Armstrong, the head coach of the Eskimos, and Brad, looks like they must have that coin tossing ceremony ready soon.
All right, we're going to go out right now, I think,
okay.
Ken. Ready to go, Ray. You want to do it right here? Right here's fine. Right now, it's fine.
Mr. Rouse, I'm Ray Boucher. Mr. Barrow, I'm Ray Boucher.
Hi, John.
Hi. Best of luck. Thank you.
Mr. Barrow, I'm Ray Boucher.
Boucher?
Mr. Wilson. Hi, Mr. Bidder. Mr. Wilson. How are you? We'll call it. It is heads, and it's Hamilton's choice.
We will take this in.
Hamilton will take this end.
We'll receive.
You will receive. Thank you, gentlemen. Good luck.
Best of luck, John. Thank you. Okay, John Barrow and Norm Rajas. Now I think we'll get back over here to Ken again and just see how he's making out.
I think you've got Ken McGlessick here to talk to.
All right.
Brad, have you got time to work him in? Ken, come on in here. How are you, by the way? Ken McGlessick, Brad Keene.
Linebacker with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And Ken, exactly what happened to your ankle or knee, or what was it?
Well, it was my ankle. It was in the first playoff game with Calgary on that Saturday afternoon, and I was red dogging on Eagle Day, and he came, one of the blockers came from the side and caught me right on the side of the leg, and it twisted my whole ankle pretty bad, and it's a pretty bad sprain of the ligaments.
This is your first experience with a Canadian final, is it not? The Grey Cup game?
Yes, it is, and I find it very exciting. They really know how to do it up here in the up in the Northland. It's I was quite impressed about all the people here, the following, the enthusiasm behind the whole organization and deal here.
Now, as a linebacker that's not going to be making it today, who is playing in your place?
Paul Robson will be taking my place at the left outside spot.
Paul Robson.
He's a boy from Winnipeg, and he went to school in North Dakota.
As a linebacker, you don't appear physically to be a large man. What are you going at, about 210 pounds?
Somewhere around that. I vary from the beginning of the season till the end, usually losing weight as the season goes on, and my height is 5'10", Brad.
At Notre Dame, what were you playing?
I was playing both inside and outside through my 4 years there, and somewhat I played some games on offense, but at my senior year I wound up playing inside linebacker.
All right, Ken, well, I think one of the two of us is going to freeze to death in a hurry here.
It's mighty cold here.
I know you want to get back to the locker room and sit in with the boys, so thank you very kindly.
Good enough, Brad.
Right, bye-bye.
See you later, Ken. Yeah. Okay, good luck to you.
Well, now, what do we got going here now?
Well, we got Jack Jacobs. Jack, how are you? All of Canada watching today, and I know they're real happy to see you back. Did a fine job, by the way, at the Grey Cup dinner last night.
Thank you very much. I tried to make it quick and fast.
Well, you did that. Jack is a passer and a punter. Could we hear a few comments on what we can expect to see here this afternoon?
Well, Ken, I tell you, I'd hate to be playing today because it's going to be rough on the passing and the punting.
What about punting? What do? Do you drive that ball low into the wind? Is this
Well, actually, you try to punch the ball a day like this and hit it low.
I noticed that Ulmer, for example, is a high ball kicker. He could have trouble.
Well, I noticed he hits the ball high, and then the wind could do a lot of things to that ball before it gets back to his foot after it stops from his hand.
Jack, I want to thank you very much. Good luck to you.
Thank you, Ken.
Okay, thank you. Jack Jacobs. Now back to Brett.
We'll resume with more of our pregame activities following this message.
7-Up is all action. No matter what the time or place, let's keep up with that happy pace. Get real action, 7-Up your thirst away. Get real action, 7-Up your thirst away. Say life's great, all of it, with 7-Up. Let's make a ball of it with 7-Up.
Any thirst you can get, 7-Up can quench quickly, completely. It restarts the natural moisture in your mouth.
7-Up is all action. With 7-Up, you'll quench your thirst. With 7-Up, you'll quench it first. Get real action. 7-Up, 7-Up, 7-Up your thirst away.
Somebody came in kind of warm from somewhere, Fred Scambatti, and you're
Just got down from the studio.
And you're all warm?
No, I'm not. I'm getting cold very rapidly here. This is a bitter day, and I imagine you fellas have kicked around the wind factor here, and Hamilton appears as though they're going to have it for this first quarter.
Yes, they've elected to take the win, and I think, how's that going to work out in the last quarter now? I think the Bombers
have the choice at halftime, and this, I guess the identity of the game in the first 30 minutes will determine what they're going to do. If their defense comes up strong enough, they may elect to go against the win and then have it for that final quarter, and they're a strong fourth quarter ball club.
You know, kicking, Ken, I don't think it's going to have anybody kicking into the wind. It's going to be kind of silly.
I don't know just what they're going to do, Fred. I don't know how you're going to punt into this wind. I know Ulmer trying it. He's having lots of trouble in the warm-up.
This must remind him of last year in the final game with Ottawa and the Tiger Cats here in the East, and it was almost an equally brutal day with a wind a little less than this. But I just wonder if we'll have anything of a pass arrangement there where they throw the ball hoping it would be picked off.
I don't know. I noticed the Bombers also had Dick Thornton working out as the punting, and he was trying to drive the ball lower, but he was having his problems. What about Duggar? He's pretty consistent.
Joe's a reasonably good end-of-the-wind kicker. He's maintained his average through the year. On games that we have worked, Joe has been forced to kick into the wind upon occasion, and as a consequence, he's maintained a reasonably level average, and I think he can handle it. I really do, Ken.
Can you recall a day quite like this for a Grey Cup game in the past, Fred?
No, not one with a wind like this. No. I can go back to miserable days, back to the Mud Bowl game, 1950, and we've had some others. But in the last few years, no. And this is going to be unfortunate because I think the two teams today evenly matched, and it should be a good ball game despite this.
Brad, one thing, the field is in good condition,
isn't it?
Well, we were watching them take the tarp off this morning. We were out here at 8:30. And the wind was almost snapping it out of the hands of the attendants here.
It must have taken off. Some of them, we may have lost some of the boys.
Well, Anna Stukas is kind of warm where he is, I think, so we'll let him take over now.
Right.
Thanks very much, Brad. And now I've got Gordy Walker over here and Johnny Bassett Jr. They've got some interesting statistics on the two teams. Gordy, what have you two guys got?
Well, Duke, it looks here like Mr. Walker, the official Eastern Conference statistician, refuses to staticize the defense. So it looks like Winnipeg all the way. Gordy, how'd you like to explain that for us?
Well, actually, John, I've broken this down into a per-game basis because Hamilton plays only a 14-game schedule and Winnipeg plays 16, so we can't use totals. So on an average game, as you can see by the stats board here, in first downs, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers average 17.4 per game. Hamilton only 12.7. In yards rushing, Winnipeg has a big edge, too. They average 187.9 yards a game. Hamilton 142. Right. And in passing, they don't pass. Neither team passes too much. Winnipeg about 17, a little better than 17. Hamilton a little better than 16 a game. And in completions, Winnipeg has an edge there, 8.9 to Hamilton 6.6. And of course, Winnipeg also gains more yards down there.
How does that passing break down, Gordy, between Zuger and Cosentino? We sort of think of Cosentino as the faster and Zuger the go guy.
Well, neither one had a very good average during the season, but Zuger came along much better at the end of the year, and Cosentino sort of faded a little. Wow. I'm holding on to these things too, John, because that wind is just whipping in here. At any rate, the passing interceptions, Hamilton has an edge there, and that's one of the few defensive statistics, and we do know that Hamilton has the defensive edge and Winnipeg has the offensive edge. As you can see in fumbles, Hamilton has a slight edge there in that they only lose about one every 2 games, while Winnipeg loses almost one per game. Punt, Hamilton has a big edge there, at least 3 yards, which is a pretty good advantage.
This could be a kicking day, too, Gordy, and this could be a very big factor in these statistics.
That's right, and in the penalties, you can see Hamilton, of course, there's been a complaint about that, but they're quite a way ahead. They average 63 yards per game against 41 for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And there is the punting, which shows that Joe Zuger is the best in the country, actually, the 44-yard average. Field goals, Hamilton has a big edge here. Winnipeg hasn't done too well, actually. They've only had .3 field goals per game, which is about on every 3 games. But Don Southern has given Hamilton a big edge here. He had 19 on the season, and that gives a 1.4.
Tell me, you've got everything pretty well down. I'd like to know what the statistics are on the longest official kickoff and the unofficial kickoff for the Grey Cup.
Well,
by the politician.
Well, for a while, it was the Prime Minister held the longest kickoff in pre-game ceremonies, but I think Miss Alouette beat that about 2 years ago.
Marvelous.
Actually, the statistics that we show, I've heard people tell me over the years, you know, statistics don't mean a thing. Well, actually, those people are right. Statistics don't mean a thing, except that if you take them all, if you take all the statistics together, you can't take 2 or 3 because there's no sense in it. You can make them prove anything you want.
Now that you guys have got through with all these facts and figures in here, what about this wind? What have you done about figuring out for and against a 50-mile-an-hour wind like we're liable to have?
Well, we figured out 2 pairs of pants, 3 coats, and 2 hats and an earmuffs, and that's all we're going to staticize on that.
I guess I found out that if I hold it from this side, the wind doesn't bother the car.
But it's certainly going to bother the operation out there. I know we were talking in the pregame show where Bud Grant said, this wind isn't going to bother us. It's not going to affect our thinking. And being an old coach myself, I know that's the way Bud Grant wants his boys to think. But when they get out there for that warm-up, I saw Ed Ulmer and Dick Thornton kicking with that wind, and boy, they look good. Then some sadistic soul suggested, how about trying to view against the wind?
Well, do you think we could see some field goals against the wind instead of just booting the ball?
No, that's
get under the wind, kind of.
That's tougher, you know, because on a field goal you've got to keep all your blockers in there. And if a guy like Garney Henley ever gets a ball without tacklers coming down, look out, he's liable to run at 100 miles. And I think this is maybe one of the things that we see with a team kicking with the wind. They better keep that thing away from Garney Henley. Well, now let's go down the field to Johnny Esau.
Okay, Snoop. And we'll be ready to carry on with more of our halftime activities after this message.
7-Up is all action. No matter what the time or place, let's keep up with that happy pace. Get real action, 7-Up your thirst away. Get real action, 7-Up your thirst away. Say life's great, all of it, with 7-Up. Let's make a ball of it with 7-Up.
Any thirst you can get, 7-Up can quench quickly, completely. It restarts the natural moisture in your mouth.
7-Up is all action. With 7-Up, you'll quench your thirst. With 7-Up, you'll quench it first. Get real action. 7-Up, 7-Up, 7-Up your thirst away.
Well, we're down in the field, and as part of the pregame show, you're taking a look at the Winnipeg Majorettes who were brought in for this Grey Cup Classic. And naturally, with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, they are called the Winnipeg Bomberettes. Ottawa Riderettes, Tigerettes. Well, you know, they seem to be putting in a little bit more energy than they do in a similar number that they might have in August.
What kind of stockings do those poor young girls wear out there?
Well, actually, when you're that young, Johnny, it doesn't matter. You're moving around and...
How do you remember?
Well, Winnipeg Bomberettes will be back for part of that big halftime show that they have planned here today. And this is all part and parcel of the Grey Cup game. Part of the, you know, as ran into Bob Pennington coming up and being an Englishman and not having taken part in too many of these Grey Cup festivities, he was beginning to wonder if there was also a football game in connection with this, and believe me, this is going to be a big football game. These are only the preliminaries, the preambles, the hoop-de-doo, the hoopla, and part of it while everybody sort of eases off a little bit of tension, waiting for that opening kickoff. Hey, Johnny?
Duke, how would you say the pageant of the Grey Cup game has sort of developed over the past 10 or 12 years?
Well, you know, I think it all started back in '48 with those with the Calgary Stampeders when they came down. When they came down in '48 against this good Ottawa Rough Rider club, that had been the first time they'd ever been down, and they made sure that people were going to remember the Calgary Stampeder fans, because they come down with those chuck wagons, the Cowboys and Indians, and they put on something that's really grown into a wonderful week of activity. Well, now down on the field, we see the Hamilton Tiger Cat Marching Band, who will entertain a little bit before we get to some of the guests who we'll be hearing from as our pregame show continues. And now Johnny Esau with the Prime Minister.
Everybody here looking at this big ball game today, including our #1 football fan, Prime Minister Pearson. Mr. Pearson, you were waiting over there, waiting to come in, and I noticed you're surveying, and it's great to see you as a cross-section here today.
Oh, yes, the whole of the country's here, Johnny.
Tell me, have you been preparing for that kickoff?
Yes, I got my kicking boots on. I hope that I'll be kicked with the wind.
You know, you went out on a limb one time, and I see that new Canadian flag is up there. That's right. Is there any chance that you might come on a limb today and really tell us who you might think will win?
Well, I don't know, Johnny, but I hope one team gets the majority of the points.
Is there any chance that the East-West spread will be any closer today than it was a little while ago?
Oh, I hope it'll be closer than that. You know, seriously, I think the team that can hold the ball against the wind today ought to pull it off.
I think that's going to be tough. Tell me, in such a busy schedule as you must maintain, do you really get much time to follow the respective teams across
I
Canada?
do. I watch all the games I can. I listen to you and Duke and the other boys, and I get a great kick out of watching the games on television.
We spotted you a number of times when we were doing the Ottawa games in Ottawa down there. You seem to be enjoying yourself immensely.
Yes, I get there when I can.
And I understand you're leaving tomorrow on a holiday.
Yes, I'm going on an official visit to a couple of Caribbean countries that have a holiday in between.
Wonderful. You couldn't do anything about this wind.
No, but it's a better day than it might have been.
Thank you very much. So now the French people on our network over here would like to meet you if you'd take the trouble to go. Thank you very much. Prime Minister Pearson, we hope you enjoy the game today. And now here's Anastukas.
Thanks very much, Johnny, and I got to hand it to that coach. Now, back on the field, the Hamilton Tiger Cat marching band, and here come the Hamilton Tigerettes. You know, I like that beat that this Hamilton bunch come up with, Johnny. It's
that band and their defense have a real beat, Duke.
Oh, isn't that something? Look at that little Tiger Cat. And that's the director of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, Dorothy Hurst, who
done a great job for that group for many years.
Oh, she really has, hasn't she?
Duke, we may have a little trouble with those player introductions. The list got blown out the window. It's out there on the 55-yard line somewhere.
Well, that's one thing about having monitors. You know, we'll have to look at them today. I'm not going to try this. What is the name of that song they're playing, Johnny Bassett?
Oh, I don't know. That's a 1920 tune, Duke. A little bit of sugar makes the medicine go down. A spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down. Mary Poppins, Duke. Say that word, Duke. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
I said it 3 times during 1.5 show. I'm not going to stretch my luck.
That's the word you used to call in the huddle in those old days. That was the bomb play, wasn't it?
There's a young lady who can say it without hesitating.
Oh, bet she can. She's having fun, isn't she?
And as you can see in the background and behind the Tigerettes, that crowd is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We're going to have a full house here.
You notice all the yellow in there, Anna?
Yeah.
I think they could kind of driven 40 miles over for this game, some of those.
I imagine there would be the odd one that would do it. Well, the Hamilton Tiger Cat Marching Band and the Hamilton Tigerettes, featuring Dorothy Hurst and that little Tigerette. Boy, talk about scene stealing. That little one really did a job out there. I tell you, when they let those balloons go, they're going to go a long way. I just hope those footballs don't go away that easily and that quickly. And for you people across the country, there's the skyline of Toronto from a different angle. Well, the Hamilton Tiger Cat Marching Band and the Tigerettes leaving the field, and the teams will be getting ready. They'll be coming out here pretty soon. And Johnny Esau, did you get that list?
Oh, I don't know if it's any easier running up those stairs than it was running into that wind down there. Well, they got a little bit of breath back, and I think we're all reorganized down on the field, and we're going to be meeting the two teams. I think that there's been one change that was talked about only very briefly, and that is that Bobby Kuntz will be getting a starting job in place of Mel Anthony. Anthony, you might recall, was the star of the Rose Bowl last year with his 3 touchdowns, and here less than a year later playing in the National Canadian Classic. The Hamilton Tiger Cats will be introducing their offensive team, and it's going to be with that offensive squad for Winnipeg and for Hamilton, rather, and defense for Winnipeg. Our first player, number 44, Gene Cepatelli at offensive center. And number 63, Bill Danichuk from Timmins, Ontario, and the University of Tennessee. Offensive left guard, started at left tackle. 52, Chuck Walton, All-American for Iowa. At right guard, his 4th year in Canadian football. 54, Ellison Kelly, the offensive left tackle from Michigan in 6 years with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Number 60, Bronco Nagurski, a 7-year veteran at offensive right tackle. And number 77, Hal Patterson, a 12-year veteran, 9 times an All-Star. 75 from Duke University, Stan Kerson, the 5th catcher in the Eastern Conference this year. Tommy Grant, a 10-year veteran, and he holds many records. This is the 8th Grey Cup for Tommy Grant, tying a record. Here's number 32, Bobby Kuntz. And Bobby in that starting backfield today has retired 3 times, and each time he comes out of retirement, he plays better. Willie Bethia, number 16, leading rusher with the Hamilton Tiger Cats this year. Number 24, Dick Cohey, another 6-year man up here, playing with 4 clubs in Canada. Quarterback Joe Zuger, who I suspect we'll see doing a number of things today, including rolling out, punting, and carrying that football, as well as doing some passing to great receivers like Patterson and Grant, and some little swings to his good halfbacks. And it's that kind of a day for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. They're a club that have had many, many records. The Hamilton Tiger Cats have won the first place 12 times in the last 16 years. In recent times, they haven't had great successes against Winnipeg, but they're shaping up today to give them as good a battle as they've ever had. Now we're getting ready for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And I think the first player you see is going to be one who's going to be starting with Winnipeg for a long time. A kid who's only 22 years of age, but he goes at about 6'5" from New Mexico, Mario Mariani, a defensive left end, and he'll be looking for Joe Zuger today. Another young local boy, number 61, Roger Hamlin, a defensive left tackle. Another one of the good young Winnipeg kids that has come up. And here's number 65, Norm Whitten, the extra point man, defensive right tackle. He was picked off the list when the British Columbia Lions put him on, and they said it was Bud Grant's intuition that got him. Number 72, Big Bob Taylor, 280 pounds at defensive right tackle. Number 43, Paul Robson, another Winnipeg boy, went to North Dakota. He'll be a center, but today you'll see him on the left corner, replacing McGlissick. 31, Al Miller from Ohio State, a fullback, formerly with Hamilton, and has been one of the real outstanding stars of this year. And Phil Minnick, number 54, on that right corner from Iowa. And they call a lot of players hard-nosed, but Minnick is really one of them. Number 14, Dick Thornton, last of a 3-year contract, a 5-year man, starred in many spots. Maybe that signal was he'd pick off 2 today. Number 24, Ed Ulmer, the punter and halfback, who said he still got a lot of things to prove to a lot of people, particularly Ottawa, where he was originally. 22, Barry Hansen, the little fella who calls the defensive signals in the secondary for the Winnipeg Club. Number 77, Ernie Pitts, another great veteran, one of the 6 who remained with Bud Grant from the year he took over in 1957. Ernie Pitts in the defensive backfield, Winnipeg. Now with Henry Jansen, a 7-year man, little guy who's played a lot of spots, a real spunky guy from Winnipeg, and he's on that right side. From Winnipeg, and he's on that right side as the defense is set up for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So you've seen a lot of class come out in the 24 that you've met, but there's 60 good ones out there today. And before this afternoon is over, the game will take its toll. A lot of players will come in and they'll go out of that ball game, so I'm sure you're going to see them all.
And I think you're going to see quite a football game. You know, we've made quite a to-do about the wind, the conditions, but point out again that that field is in absolute perfect shape, except for the wind. We're going to see quite a football game, and I think, as the Prime Minister pointed out, the team that can control that ball against the wind is the guy that's going to have the best chance. And moving out into the field is the official party, moving out to the field for that ceremonial kickoff. And are they going to give him a break? Are they going to let him kick with the wind, or are they going to force him to kick again?
Oh, we've been trying to catch our statistician, Gordy Walker, all year on... Gordy, what's the official kickoff record for the unofficial kickoff?
33 and a half yards.
Never can stop him.
That Don Southern shoe goes that far when he misses.
Prime Minister Pearson, you see Mayor Phil Gibbons on his right as they get ready, and our creepy peepy camera goes to work down below. There's the beautiful Miss Grey Cup from Calgary.
A low dribbler, a low dribbler.
Here's the kickoff. You'll notice that they're not standing too far back. standing too far back for this official kickoff.
Somebody's going to get that right in the camera.
Oh, he fooled him. Out of the 40-yard line. And while we're waiting for a play to begin, let me remind you that this game is coming to you from Toronto.
Anytime, anywhere, any day. You belong where there's action. 7-Up belongs to. 7-Up makes a difference, and the difference will make unto you.
Don't miss a beat. Keep swinging with 7-Up, the sparkling thirst quencher that helps you sparkle. For fresh, lively taste, 7-Up, where there's action.
You belong where there's action. Bring along 7-Up. You can bet you'll get action all the way when you say 7-Up.
Back to receive Thornton, Ramey, and Lewis. Here is Don Sutherland up to the ball, and the 37th Grey Cup is underway. It goes over Ramey's head into the end zone. He picks it up 15 yards deep, and hitting him back there, but getting to the goal line, but not out. There's a flag on the play. Billy waits. And there's a flag on the play. A piling on penalty with a single point, and the first play of the game gives us a 1-0 lead for the...
And the 15-yard penalty on the piling on, which should bring the ball out to the 40-yard line.
Hamilton Tiger Cats. The scoreboard is not giving us anything official on this yet, but it is 1-0, and they'll tack the 15-yard penalty onto that, and the ball will come out to the 40-yard line. So it is now official 1-0, Hamilton over Winnipeg. Referee Ray Boucher, a 25-year man in football, retires after handling today's football game. Kenny Plain for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, with Ramey, Lewis, Perkins, and Cooper. Cooper flank right. Nielsen, the left end, number 28, is split off. Kenny Plain gives to Leo Lewis, and he runs into his own blocker there, Herb Gray, and is dropped on the 42.5-yard line. He picks up a shade better. It's Herb Patera coming over to make the stop. Barrow kind of half pushed him as he tried to slide by him. Now for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, number 71, Farrell Funston at right end. Number 28, Kenny Nielsen, will split on the left side with Rigney and Thorson, the left guard and tackle. Gray and Piper, the right guard and tackle. We'll set up that Hamilton defense for you in just a sec. It is second down and 8 yards to go. Ramey comes in motion to the right. And Kenny Plain goes to Pearlie Perkins, hit right at the line of scrimmage. Oh, and a great play by the secondary, Herb Patera. He guessed, and he guessed right.
I think right now, too, Johnny, they're guessing that Kenny Plain isn't going to try and fool around with any passes at this stage of it. He's not going to test that tough wind. And you could see that they had an 8-man line in there. They didn't pay too much attention to all the faking that was going on.
So here's Ed Ulmer kicking into the wind with Henley and Grant back on their own 40. And he puts a good one into that wind. The wind holds it up now. Here is Henley on the 47. He is dropped on the 48-yard line. In there to get him was Big Frank Rigney, the 8-year veteran and a 5-time All-Star. 22-yard kick and a 2-yard run back. So the Hamilton Tiger Cats come out offensively. Will they start throwing early and long? In case they do, Thornton and Jansen both set out wide, ready to go deep. Joe Zuger is at quarterback. They give in here to Dick Cohey. Cohey is hit from the side and stopped on the 51-yard line. He got about 2 yards on the play. So it's Crisson and Patterson will be the ends.
And taking a look, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are figure that they're Hamilton are going to run, and we can see Al Miller pick it out. There he is, number 31. He sees that play, and he blows right in there for the tackle.
Here we go now with Joe Zuger back to throw. The ball is knocked out of his hand. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have recovered on the 47-yard line.
And the thing about that, Johnny, although he had his arm back to throw, at the time there was no passing motion made. This would make it a fumble.
Al Miller came in there to pick it up for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. They rule that he recovered on the 48-yard line. Well, that's a big gain against that wind, and Winnipeg has found one way to move against it, and that's the first big break of probably what will be many here today. Here goes Kenny Plain with force and 55 setting up at guard, and here comes Plain rolling to the right as he gives to Lewis, cutting back inside, and Lewis puts his head down and he drives to the 41-yard line. And there's a brief timeout on the field with the score Hamilton 1, Winnipeg nothing.
When the action's big and you've got a big thirst going, knock it off with sparkling, thirst-quenching 7-Up. Works every time.
The gain is very close to 7 yards. It'll be second down and 3 to go for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Desjardins at center as Kenny Plain gives to Perkins. Perkins breaks for within a yard of a first down there as he drove that first tackler back. Good stopping there as Billy Waite, the little fella, got a shot at him early, and then he had to have help from Marty Martinello, who came back from the side.
And there's only one way to move John Barrow, and you have to put 2 men on him. Watch the Winnipeg team. Double team him up there to let him go for that first down.
On the 37.5-yard line is where they have placed the ball now. It is first down. 1-0 Hamilton, and we've got the 11-17 mark. In the first quarter with Kenny Plain giving off to Ramey, but Ramey is boxed in completely for a loss of 2.5 yards back on the 40-yard line. Garney Henley coming up from the defensive secondary, along with help from Dave Beatty, number 70 on the left corner. Leo Lewis for Winnipeg, the second highest scorer in their history, with a lifetime rushing average of almost 7 yards, which is a great record. It is second down, 12.5 yards to go for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on the Hamilton 40-yard line. And we have Plain going back to throw. Dumps that little screen in here to Perkins, but he's caught by Jim Reynolds, and Reynolds drops him for another big loss back to the 47-yard line. Reynolds, you know, plays that right corner, so he came all the way across to make it from that side. There go your deep men, Henley and Grant, to the 25-yard line. And Ulmer kicking from the 50. Goes down to Tommy Grant, takes a hop, it bounces off his knee. He has to play the ball because once he had touched it, that was a free ball, and he couldn't wait for anybody to give him protection. Thorson was down there to make the stop, a 30-yard kick, and there was no run back.
Whenever you want to put more sparkle into a gathering of friends, bring out the 7-Up. How about now?
We'll probably see the hunting record broken because it'll probably come off a quick kick with the wind today. And here goes Zuger giving to the inside Bethia, but that was closed off on him. Now, he was scrimmaging from the 18-yard line. He got to about the 19 before he was stopped by big Mario Mariani. Here's a look at 63 Danichuk and 54 Kelly, the left blocking side of that Hamilton line. On the right side is Chuck Walton and Bronco Nagurski. Bobby Kuntz in there at fullback. Grant comes out, and they go to the right side roll here with Joe Zuger cutting back in. He's hit. Oh, Mariani caught him on the 28-yard line. Drove a tough shoulder right into his back. But Zuger bounces up off of it, and he's got a first down. I think you'll see a lot of that rollout action today as they try to get away from each other's big defensive charge, because you're seeing 4 great defensive ends today, and they're going to try to minimize their effectiveness. Here's Norm Whitten, 65, 61 Hamlin. Here we go to the inside, and Kuntz puts his head down for 2.5. He went to the 31. And Ed Ulmer comes up from the defensive secondary to make the stop.
This is the thing that Ulmer will do. You know, he's a defensive halfback, but one thing he can come up, He can come up to that line of scrimmage in a big hurry, and he had to there because they'd wiped out the middle.
Cepatelli breaks out over the ball. Crisson, the right end, is split off just about a yard. They go here to Bethia, and he's hit by Paul Robeson, number 43, that fine young linebacker in that left corner. There's a flag on the play.
And the signal I get there is holding, and it looks against Hamilton. I imagine they'll refuse that one because it'll be third down coming up.
Ray Boucher is the referee. Pass Bidruck. Seymour Wilson, the umpires. Taylor Patterson, Jim Piper, and Harry Ross completing the officiating team today.
And here's that first punt with the wind. They turned down that holding penalty.
Here goes Dick Wozni, number 30, and 23, Billy Cooper. They go back to the 22-yard line. Joe Zuger is kicking from his own 20. So they're giving him at least 70 yards for this punt. He didn't get a good one away, though. It's end over end, and Ulmer takes it on the 30-yard line, into the 35, the 40, and he's driven back by Bobby Coots and Johnny Simba. And there's a brief timeout on the field with the score Hamilton 1, Winnipeg nothing.
One bottle does it. Eliminates the biggest thirst right away. And the good thing about it, 7-Up tastes great. 7-Up, where there's action.
Well, the first Stampeder fan telegram coming in about the weather out there, and Ken Newens, I didn't hear it, but obviously he said something about the weather, and he was obviously joking, but somebody is taking it seriously. Here we go for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on their own 39-yard line, and they counter in here with Ramey, but Ramey lost his balance. He was to follow the blocking of Sherwin Thorson, number 55, but Dave Beatty, the left end, number 70, came in to make the stop. Dave Beatty has been with Hamilton 4 years. This is his 4th Grey Cup. You know, there have been 37 Grey Cups. Winnipeg has been in the Grey Cup 19 times, Hamilton 18 times. Second down and 6 yards to go for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and they give to Leo Lewis. Lewis is hit by Marty Martinello. 65, Marty Martinello holds him on a third down and 4-yard situation. So this great veteran really set it up for him.
I think the Bombers were supposed to go a little bit wider on that one, Johnny, because the action, you'll see Perkins here, the fullback goes out, drives his man in, and drove him right into the hole.
Ulmer from his own 30-yard line. Henley and Grant to their own 41 for this kick. Here is Henley coming in. He lets the ball hop. It'll go into... No, Gino Cars grabbed it as it went out on the 52-yard line. Cosentino is up and has been warming up at the bench, and he's starting to come in now so that Ralph Sazio must be figuring to put that ball up into the air. That kick traveled 8 yards after it had been... well, to the point it went out. And that now gives Hamilton the ball on the Winnipeg 52. It's a 1-0 ball game, 6.5 minutes to go in the opening quarter. Jimmy Grant set out to the right, along with Dick Cohee, and we've got Taylor going in there and grabbing Frank Cosentino. The flag, the outside flag comes down. Ray Boucher now indicating the offside against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Now, Al Miller, the middle linebacker, started to move to that line and stop. Now, maybe this caused Taylor to start to go in early. I don't know, but he certainly did not stop, even though he knew he was offside. He figured he might as well make a job of it. Bud Grant has been handling this club for 9 years, and he's still got 6 players that were with him back in '57 when he first took over. Here goes the 1st and 5 situation for Hamilton. Dick Cohee cut from the side by number 61, Roger Hamlin, and number 54, Phil Minnick. 1-0 for the Hamilton Tiger Cats with 5 minutes and 50 seconds remaining in the opening quarter. Whitten and Taylor, Hamlin and Mariani. Now they go into a 6-man defensive line on this 2nd down and 3-yard situation on the 45. They give to Bobby Coots, and Coots does not make it. Mario Mariani, the defensive left end, was in there to drive him sideways. It took away his forward momentum, and now the third down and 1 to go. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them gambling here because they have the win, but Frank Cosentino calls for the yardsticks. And you know, it's 30 years ago this year that Winnipeg won the first Grey Cup for Western Canada. It was against Hamilton, and it was over in Hamilton. They are yard short, so it'll be third down and 1 to go. And Ralph Sazio, who is normally a conservative type, I think has looked at the odds and feels you can gamble here in a conservative style. 5:13 remaining in the opening quarter. The wind moving, and they have him set out wide, but they dive him into the line on a quarterback sneak with Cosentino, and they're going to have a measure on this one because Phil Minnick was in there to get him shoulder to shoulder with him, and whether his forward momentum was enough to give him the first down. He didn't have it when he wound up in the ground, but that's not where they measure it
That'll
from.
be the determining factor where they decide Cosentino's forward momentum stopped, because it stopped and he started going backwards when he got belted.
You know, in the last 16 years, the favorite team has not won 50%. They did make a first down. The favorite team in the last 16 years out of the time in the Grey Cup. Temperature is now 36 degrees in Toronto. And here we go, first down with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Bethea peels out in motion right. Bobby Kuntz stays in the block for Cosentino, who's back to throw, and it is no good. Stan Croissant slipped and fell as he tried to put the brakes on to reach back. He was covered by Barry Hansen and Ed Ulmer. And there's a brief timeout on the field with the score Hamilton 1, Winnipeg nothing.
7-Up. Cold, sparkling, fresh, brisk, bright, zesty, tasty, awfully, awfully good.
Second down and 10 to go. Frank Cosentino, and normally he's not a quarterback sneak type of guy, but they called him on that one. And here we are, second and 10 on the 42.5-yard line. He's rolling, get that little toss here to Cohey, who's got room to go. Only one man can get him, and that is Henry Jansen. And Jansen drives him out on the 9.5-yard line. Dick Cohey.
Good call here by Frank Cosentino. You'll see Dick Cohey, the only man back there, and the other Tommy Grant. Tommy Grant as the flanker. Cosentino rolls out. And you can see Cohey in position, moving up, picks up that lateral. They block the people out, and he takes it for that big first down to the Winnipeg 9.5.
First down, 9.5 yards to go for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, who lead 1-0 with 4 minutes to play in the opening quarter. And they almost went offside. Cosentino takes a long count, gives to Bethea, trying to turn that right corner. He had been grabbed by Dick Thornton. He shook him and picked up another 3 yards of the play. And once again, it was Mario Mariani. What a find they picked up in that boy. I asked Butters, and how did you lure him away from the Washington Redskins? He said, well, they just happen to have 4 veteran defensive tackles there, and he... Cohey, in 3 straight playoff games now, has scored 3 big touchdowns. He broke away from Phil Minnick, ran away from Henry Jansen.
And on this one, Johnny, he really just ran away. They seem to have him in behind the line of scrimmage. But this versatile player, a guy who's played a little bit of everything since he came up here, really turned on the speed to rip around that end for the touchdown.
It is now 7-0. Don Southern trying to make it 8-0. And he does. And at the 12-minute mark of the first quarter, they scored as Hamilton 8, Winnipeg nothing.
Anytime, any day. You've been
times 7 Up. Dry throats never had it so good. For fresh, lively taste, for sparkle that swings, 7 Up, where there's action.
You belong where there's action. Bring along 7 Up. You can bet you get action all the way when you say 7 Up.
There's the situation then, 8-0 for the Hamilton Tiger Cats with the wind in the opening quarter of this 37th Grey Cup battle. There's Don Southern, who has piled up so many points for that Hamilton club over the years. And there's the defense, Leo Lewis anchoring it with Ramey and Thornton. And here is the kickoff. This goes back, taken by Lewis. He fumbles the ball, picks it up with one hand and goes to the goal line. Now trying to find a little room, gets away from Jerry McDougal, puts his head down and drives. There's a flag on the play as Bill Danichuk came across to drive him down. A clipping penalty is the call. 77-yard kick and a 25-yard return. Clipping penalty against Winnipeg. That'll take the ball back half the distance and it'll go to the 5-yard line. That kickoff, had it been straight, that would have been right through the goalpost. They wouldn't have got the 3 points out of it, but you don't often see them that long. Up to the 5-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 10 Winnipeg, with 2 minutes and 44 seconds now shown officially remaining in this opening quarter of this Grey Cup battle. And they go flankers left, and they fake with Plain. Caught back in here, and he is driven down for a loss on the 3-yard line. Well, they pulled the backs all in motion left. He tried to bootleg it, but Zeno Kars, the top Canadian ball player this year, indicated again why he is the top man.
And good defensive calling by John Barrow in there. They know that Winnipeg aren't going to try anything fancy, and they were in there tight, and they were in there tough, and nobody was going to move against that.
Big Angelo Mosca, number 68, says from league game to playoff game to Grey Cup, his mind is one way on a football field. He doesn't change for any of them. It is 2nd down and 13 on the 2.5. Inside to Perkins. Perkins breaks over the 5 into the 7, and he still keeps fighting. Now Barrow and Ramey try to shove each other a little extra. Vitti from that left end came driving in underneath to break it up. Coming into the ball game will be Ernie Pitts. Now, this will be, because it's a 3rd down and 5 situation, they rule him that this is back to about where they started from on the 10-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 5 to go. Ernie Pitts comes into the ball game. Leo Lewis comes out, and the deep men go back. It's Henley and Grant. They're between the Winnipeg 30 and 35-yard lines. Kenny Plain is in there, and he's going to give him 2 points. Kenny Plain goes back, give him 2 points and a safety touch. 1:24 to go in the opening quarter. And that makes it a 10-0 ball game, and this will give Winnipeg, because this is almost like saving yourself 6 points in that spot, Stu.
I'd have to go along with that, Johnny, with the field position there. Hamilton were going to be in there for around the 35-yard line. And with the way Don Southern can kick, it's going to be 3 or 7. Do you give away 2? Keep that ball. They'll be able to run that clock out and finally probably have the win with that kick.
So they're now 1st down Winnipeg on the 25-yard line. Cooper set out to the right. Lewis goes in motion. They give to Lewis behind the blocking of Gray. Jim Reynolds gets in there to drive him down. There'll be a gain of about 1 yard on the play, along with Marty Martinello. On the 26-yard line, 2nd down and 9.
You know, Jim Reynolds really made a great play on that. He came in, he didn't even look at the ball carrier. He just came in to strip the blocking, and he did it.
Nielsen, the left end, is split off. Here comes Lewis in motion to the right. Kenny Plain going back to throw, looking for that short side. Dumps a little screen over there to Perkins. And John Barrow was over there to bring him down on the 29-yard line. He may have touched the 30. But they're trying to get those little screens in there to get to blow those big corners away.
And a little bit of mistiming on that one. I don't think Kenny Plain took enough time in those huddles. He didn't drag that huddle out. He's still got 25 seconds to go, and he's going to have to kick against the wind.
Well, they gave up 2 points and picked up 5 yards on the exchange, and now the Winnipeg receivers, or the Winnipeg kicker, will have to meet those receivers about the 50. That is the Winnipeg 50. Ed Ulmer back to his own 15-yard line, and he gets it held up there with the wind. Grant takes it right on the 50 and is driven out on the 48-yard line by Rigney. And here in the first quarter, we played a little better than 14 minutes.
When you've got a thirst for something cold, sparkling, and very tasty, 7-Up.
Nothing. Hamilton over Winnipeg. On the 48-yard line, the Hamilton Tiger Cats with Zuger going back to throw, and he's going for the bomb down here to Hal Patterson. It's over his head. And Frank Rigney, or at least Ernie Pitts, went all the way down there with him. Rigney made a great play at that line of scrimmage, but they couldn't hold him up long enough, and they couldn't catch up to Mr. Patterson. Well, that ends the first quarter, and while the teams are changing ends, let's pause for 60 seconds.
Anytime, anywhere, any day. You belong where there's action. 7-Up belongs to. 7-Up makes a difference, and the difference will make unto you.
Big thirst, head straight for 7-Up. Coolest taste ever, anytime, anywhere. 7-Up for sparkle that swings. 7-Up, where there's action.
You belong where there's action. Bring along 7-Up. You can bet you'll get action all the way when you say 7-Up.
Nothing, and we'll find out what the Tiger Cats will be able to do defensively as Winnipeg gets the ball. Bobby Kuntz going out of the ball game. And we're getting ready for a change down there as Mel Anthony is dressed. There's a look at John Barrow on our creepy peepy camera. Anthony comes in defensively as Bobby Kuntz went out, and we'll have to find out what that change is about because it's just a little bit unusual at this stage. They had said Bobby Kuntz would be starting in place of Anthony, but Anthony is in there to go now, and they come here to Willie Bethea. Bethea's into the 45 and is dropped on the 45-yard line. Paul Robeson from that left side. Stu, do you think they're trying to pick on that kid in that left corner?
You know, that Hamilton club is a fairly experienced football club. They're getting messages from Joe Restig, who's up in the spotter's booth. He's sending word down to where they hope to spot a Winnipeg weakness, and they're going to have to try and work on a rookie.
Now, Joe Zuger, who averaged 44.5 yards this season, is kicking from his own 52-yard line. The receivers Wozni and Cooper back on the 15. He takes it on the 20 and is dumped. And there were Johnny Simba, number 19 and 48, John Metras down there to pull him down. They'll give him the 24-yard line on that one. Right, almost a 25. Winnipeg had one first down, Hamilton 4 in the opening quarter. Winnipeg had 16 yards rushing, Hamilton 67. Each team attempted 2 passes, and Winnipeg completed 2 for a loss of 3 yards. All the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. There's Jardin at center, Gray at right guard, and Thorson at left. Here goes Lewis, set out to the right. Perkins sets up the block as Plain throws out on the left side to Ramey. Ramey cuts back inside Cohey, and then is driven out by Garney Henley on the 42-yard line. 17 yards, and Herb Patera comes across with Henley to do it.
And let's take a look at Ramey's moves on this one. He comes out on the wing back, makes a good move, pulls away, catches that pass, then runs inside of Jim Reynolds, and only good pursuit stopped him from going a lot farther.
On the 42-yard line, it is first down for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on his 17-yard pickup. They faked there to Perkins, give to Lewis. Lewis cuts inside, almost had the ball knocked out of his hands as Mosca drove him from the side, and then Herb Patera came up to make the stop. And there's a brief timeout on the field with the score Hamilton 10, Winnipeg nothing.
There's always plenty of action in a bottle of 7-Up. Its crystal clear sparkle lasts and lasts and lasts.
Winnipeg Blue Bombers second down and 8 to go on their own 44-yard line. And here goes Plain back to throw, looking here this time to the right side of that Winnipeg, of the Hamilton defense to Nielsen, number 28. And by the way, for those fans who are wondering why his number changed, Bud Grant told us that his regular number 21 had been stolen after the game in Calgary. And he catches him just as well playing with number 28. Kenny Plains takes a look at it, feeling that it was a first down, and it is. So they're on the ball will be slotted just between the 51 and the 52-yard lines. As you look at that Hamilton defense, there's somebody that you're going to see a lot of is at number 23, Herb Patera, 240-pound linebacker, 24 years of age, goes sideline to sideline, run all day, and hit people. So Ralph Sazio is justifiably proud of acquiring Patera. 10-0, Hamilton over Winnipeg in this Grey Cup battle. And we have Funston and Nielsen getting mixed up now. Nielsen has to go to the opposite side, and Plain has to wait for him. Now, we fake to Lewis, come back to the opposite side to Ramey, trying to get out of there, but he's caught by Billy Waite, and then is driven out. Billy Ray Laughlin. Now, it was Laughlin who Bud Grant thought he was going to get in the trade for Nielsen. They gave up Cloyd Webb instead, which turns out to be a pretty handy combination as far as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are concerned, because Nielsen, well, you saw what he did with that back-breaking play to the Calgary Stampeders for 109 yards. Wide flankers to the right. Lewis is in motion deep, and here goes Plain looking for the middle. Steps into the pocket, throws, and it is good in there to Ramey. Ramey on a great move is driven down on the 40-yard line and actually touchdown on about the 38. We have an injured Hamilton Tiger Cat player. It is Ted Page who got a bump in that right thigh of his. A 21-yard gain to Ramey.
And on this one, the Winnipeg defense, or the Hamilton defense, had a little problem because number 71, Farrell Funston, came down there, made a great fake. He pulled the defense over there with him and picked on Ramey and hit Ramey with a... Ramey looked as if he was a little bit surprised to catch that one because Plain threw it right past the first defender.
Ted Page goes out of the ball game. This little fella, 3 years with Montreal before joining Hamilton as part of that big trade for Bernie Filoni. So Ralph Sazio is having to do a little juggling now.
You can see Kenny Plain getting that little extra protection and just throwing it right through, and a great move by Ramey on that one after he caught it. This is where this kid really gives you trouble.
Billy Cooper, they haven't gone to him yet with the wind. All his speed, you figure, is coming any time. Ramey is a slot back. They throw to Art Perkins, hit by John Barrow, and then driven down by Billy Ray Laughlin. John Barrow had him, and he wasn't going to go any farther, and as he was held there, along came Billy Ray Laughlin.
And boy, when they came up, they were hitting for keeps. On this one, you can see that I formation. Perkins moves over. They throw the lateral. He gets hit once, and whoo, did you see that Laughlin come in there?
And a hurt head on that one. Almost wound up with Laughlin's jaw. Second down and 11 yards to go for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on their own 39. They fake the draw and they give to Lewis, trying to get him outside. Rigney sets a block on Lachlan to turn Lewis into the middle to the 25. Down to the 20 is caught from behind by Dave Beatty. Oh, a great play by this veteran Leo Lewis, a 10-year man, to give him a first down. 19 yards by Leo Lewis.
And a great fake here all the way by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I tell you, they were in trouble there a couple of times. You see Kenny Plain fake the draw to Art Perkins on this one. He gets tackled, and then look at that. Watch the blocking and watch this running where he breaks tackles.
And they come out of there now with Dave Ramey being driven down by Don Southern on the 16-yard line, so his gain is 4. It is second down and 6. And there's a brief timeout on the field with the score Hamilton 10, Winnipeg nothing.
If you're not drinking 7-Up right at the moment, maybe you're not enjoying the game as much as you might. Open a bottle now. It's pure enjoyment.
9 minutes and 50 seconds remaining in the first half of the game. Hamilton leads Winnipeg 10-0. Lewis got a great play for Winnipeg, and they fake to Lewis this time. Plain is rolling out. He's trying to go to the end zone. High, could be picked off. It is. Taken in there by Garney Henley. His blockers form up in front of him, and he's having little room to go as he turns back in now to the 4-yard line, and he is driven down on the 4-yard line. Garney Henley goes in to pick off the first of the ball game, and that's his 6th of the year.
And on this one, Garney was trying to make up his mind whether to stay in there, bring the ball out to the 10-yard line, and then he saw the blocking starting to form. He figured, well, maybe I can get a little bit more. But that Winnipeg defense is pretty alert, too. They get over there and stop him, hold him on the 4.
First down on the 4-yard line for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And they're ahead 10-0. They give to Bethia, trying to pick his way inside. He hit in there with a great burst of speed as he picked up 5. It'll be second down and 5 to go. Maybe a little shade less than that. There to get him was Ed Ulmer. 25-year-old halfback and leading punter with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who says, among other things, he has a couple of things to prove to Ottawa. Ball players sometimes regret the trade. Some often wind up liking where they're going, but resenting the thing that caused the trade. Ulmer is one who seems to have remembered it. Here we go, second down and 4.5 yards to go for the Tiger Cats. Quick toss on the left side to Bethia. Has to cut back in behind Kelly and Mel Anthony, the blocker. And he has been about a yard away from the first down. Let's find out from Ken Newens down there to see if we've got a report from that Hamilton bench.
Thank you, John. Ted Page sitting on the bench right now. He has an injured left knee, and he stood up just a few moments ago to test it, seemed to be in pain, and sat down again. However, the trainer has not taken the shoe off or hasn't undressed the leg at the moment. It's a left knee. Now back to Johnny.
Thank you, Ken. And now we're on the 13-yard line. By the way, Ken, see if you can get something on Bobby Kuntz for me, will you? Third down, a yard to go on the 13-yard line. Zuger into the wind. Tried to hit it low and drive it to the sideline, and he does. The ball doesn't go out, however. And it is picked up and driven out of there, and a flying tackle hitting Wozni was Bob Kraus, number 14. Bob Kraus, one of the few throwbacks of the old era, those flying tackles. 7 minutes and 49 seconds remaining in the first half of play. Hamilton 10, Winnipeg nothing. On the 41-yard line, Nick Cohee's touchdown, plus the convert, plus the single on the kickoff and the opening kickoff, plus the safety touch accounts for Hamilton's points. Plain rolling back. He's trying to get Nielsen loose. He can't. He just ducks his head down. He saw a wave of Hamilton players coming in, led by Marty Martinello. And the great veteran that he is, figured out the law of averages quickly and ate the football. Let's move the ball back now to the 49-yard line.
On this one, Kenny Plain was definitely looking for Nielsen on that play, and Nielsen, being a rookie, he was picked up by cars for a little while, and then Don Southern turned him over, and Kenny was dropped.
So we have it on the 49-yard line now for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Second down and 19 to go. Plain trying to get these yards back now as he steps into that pocket. Throws could be picked. Oh, Patera almost had it. There's a flag on the play. Another flag on the play. There was one for probable interference down on the 37-yard line because an elbow was thrown in the midst of it all. Now, whether that deep flag was for another call, we'll have to wait and see.
And there was a flag thrown farther downfield. I see Ray Boucher. Yes, illegal interference against the Hamilton Tiger Cats and a roughing penalty.
Well, we've heard so long all week about the two rough, tough defensive lines, the big bruisers, and you had to expect it to come a little bit. A rough play call added on to it, and this brings about a change. Cornell Piper comes out of the Winnipeg defensive, or at least offensive line, and going in to replace him is Big Monty Kiffin. Big Monty Kiffin, a 260-pound tackle. So the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are now on the 23-yard line with 6.5 minutes remaining in the first half of play. And it is Plain giving here to Lewis, trying to turn that corner. Has to go out a little wider than he thought, but he could go to the 10, to the 8, and he's dropped on the 8-yard line. And there's a brief timeout in the field with a score Hamilton 10, Winnipeg nothing.
Maybe the nicest thing about opening that first bottle of 7-Up is that you know you've still got 5 more to go.
Six minutes and 4 seconds now remaining in the first half. It's 10-0 for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. These clubs have had a lot of battles against each other. That's the...
On this one, a good fake by Plain. He sent Ramey and Leo Lewis in the other direction, and Perkins, that big guy, that 225-pounder, just tore right past that Hamilton defense there.
Perkins scored 5 of them running, 5 of them passing this year for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And Norm Whitten missed on that one. That ball came out of there. It was held by Brian Palmer, and he had a tough time setting that ball down right. Stu, didn't that happen?
It seemed to get away from him, Johnny. Instead of putting it on its point, he kind of had it flat. Whitten had to change his cadence and routine on that one. He just kind of poked it and hoped.
Of course, Palmer's been on that bench. That's the first thing he's had to do today, and you suddenly go out there and have to hold on to that football on the cold day. Maybe he had trouble closing his fingers on it. Now it is a 10-6 ball game. Hamilton over Winnipeg. The ball is on the 45-yard line. And as they get set for the kickoff, Cohey goes back along with Jerry McDougall. McDougall, the all-time scoring champ for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and Cohey fumbles the ball. And down there is Ernie Pitts, and Pitts almost drove that ball out of his hands. Willie Bethea had trouble holding on to that one and was very fortunate to pull it back in. 50-yard kick, a loss of 1 on the return. On the 15-yard line with 5.5 minutes to go in the first half of play. Capitelli at center and Zuger is the quarterback. Zuger and Cosentino have both worked today. There's a flag on the play. They give to Bethea. Bethea finds no room to go once he got to that 12-yard line because big Norm Whitten was over there along with Ernie Pitts, number 77. There's a rough play call. I'm sorry, there's an offside.
On this one, take a look at Al Miller here. He gets a lot of action. He gets blocked and then still winds up on the tackle. You can see Cepatelli do a job, and there he is in on the bottom of the pile. Great second effort by Miller.
Well, the ball is on the just over the 18-yard line, second down and very close to 7. They give to Jerry McDougall, who's now in there, cutting back in, finding no room to go. He is dropped On the 20-yard line, it'll be 3rd and 5, and that was Ernie Pitts again. Now, Pitts is one of the 9 players Winnipeg has in their new defensive alignment this year, and Ernie has been with the Blue Bombers for 9 years, 3rd highest scorer in the Winnipeg history, and he's having himself quite a first half here, tackling from that deep half spot. Deep men waiting on the 40 and the 45 and the 50. They got 3 in the back there with Ulmer, the wide man. And here's that kick by Zuger. It lands on the 42-yard line and is driven out by Wozni, hit there by Johnny Simba. So they'll scrimmage at about the 43.
You know, you kind of often wonder what happens to a center after he snaps that ball to the kicker. Let's take a look at Johnny Metras here and take a look. Bing, bing. You know, a guy could get trampled to death out there.
27-yard kick, a 3-yard return, and we now have a first down for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on the Hamilton 43. There's 4 minutes and 20 seconds left to go. Cooper comes out to the left. Ramey is now set out on the slot back on the left side. They give to Lewis, who's going to be passing off it. He throws out here to Perkins, and Perkins is stopped on the 30. And that is a first down as he picked up 13 yards. Over there was Billy Waite to make the stop. Now we had a little talk with Perkins and Leo Lewis, and Perkins says, I'm going to make that veteran a pretty good catcher before he retires.
I wonder if he's going to claim that he's made him a pretty good passer out of him.
You know, so much of the prediction this week related to the superiority and experience of Kenny Plain to go to the bench at the right time. And he comes up with a lot of them. Here goes Lewis in motion to the right. Plain is going back to throw, and he's going to be hit, but he gets the ball away now to Nielsen. Nielsen had almost gone out down there at the 10-yard line, kept himself in, and Plain was very fortunate to get that ball away.
He was. Along what made it tough was Billy Waite, number 39 there. He had his eye on Nielsen all the way, and he stayed in position, and he almost forced Nielsen to go off the field to try and get past him. Plain just didn't have enough time.
Place that ball, line of scrimmage, just between the 30 and the 29-yard line. There's Kenny Plain and that great unit of his, which is probably as versatile offensively. Well, I'll say more versatile offensively than any other club in Canada at this stage. At 3 minutes. And a 10-6 score for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Kenny Plain going back to throw. And he gets the ducks once. Gets up. Oh, and he's hit hard in there by Jim Reynolds and John Barrow as he looked like he was going to beat that charge the first time. Kenny Plain pulls up his socks and says, let's get back at it, as he was pulled underneath there by Dave Vitti. Flag was down. Now there's a holding call. We'd have to wait for an official on this. Looks like it was Winnipeg. Yes, it is. It has been refused, which will make them do it all over again now from the 29, and at the 12-minute mark of the second quarter, the score is Hamilton 10, Winnipeg 6.
Seven up where there's action, big things swinging your way. 7 up where there's action, anytime, anywhere, any day. You belong where there's action, 7 up belongs to. 7 up makes a difference, and the difference will make unto you.
Be the one to bring the 7-Up. Great anywhere, anytime. So thirst-quenching. Great with food. A taste so lively, you know it's 7-Up. 7-Up, where there's action.
You belong where there's action. Bring along 7 Up. You can bet you'll get action all the way when you say 7 Up.
Norm Winton, who has been good on 18 out of 25 field goals, early converts, is going to try to make it as good an average on this field goal attempt, trying to pull that gap to within 1 point. the 38-yard line. He's got it up, but he needs a little help. Hits the crossbar, and it is recovered down there by Garney Henley. Well, now the Blue Bombers know how those Saskatchewan Rough Riders felt when their last pass hit the goalpost. And by the way, on that play, you don't have to give yards when that ball hits the crossbar.
You know, that crossbar is round. It gives you an idea how squarely he hit it for the ball to come bouncing straight back.
Whitten's accuracy, with or without the wind, is considered to be up to about the 35-yard line. He's not noted as a long ball kicker. First down for those Hamilton Tiger Cats on the 7-yard line. And Joe Zuger, with 2.5 minutes to go, gives here to Mel Anthony. Anthony is stopped on the 9-yard line, picking up 2. And that was Al Miller, who came across to get him. The Hamilton Tiger Cats had certainly expected to invite Al Miller back to their camp had Winnipeg not picked him. Well, now we have played right here in this second quarter, 13 minutes and 19 seconds.
There's really only one good way to serve 7-Up. Often.
Second down and 8 to go for the Hamilton Tiger Cats on their own 9-yard line. They pull Bethia in motion with Zuger going the opposite way, and he's caught by Phil Minnick, and he's dropped for a loss back on the 6-yard line. Might have even touched him down on the 5. Joe Zuger. Zuger's playing in his 4th Grey Cup. Third and 11, and now with 1:56 to go, the deep men will come back to the 30, 35, and 40. And they won't...
Winnipeg are putting an extra man back there. They drop Almer back and really spread across the field in case Joe Zuger is trying to pick a hole.
He gets a good punt up there into that wind. It drops on the 26. It rolls into that crowd. Zuger goes in to tap the ball. The flag goes down. But that was the punter, and that flag has to come down automatically. Because the Zuger, of course, is onside, and Zuger headed for that ball like a bullet.
The thing is, whether he will call that no yards penalty on the kicker or on some of the linemen that were up there. Because on it,
yeah, the no yards was not on Zuger. It was on the other man who was there closer to him. So that'll put the ball down on the 22-yard line. Of course, it'll be Winnipeg ball. And we now have 1:31 left to go in the half. Winnipeg are down 10-6. Trying to get some points out of having the ball for this minute and a half. And, of course, it's just that kind of a ball game. These clubs had expected to be this close at the end of the game. Here we come with Nielsen to the right, Cooper out to the left. Ramey the slot back left. Perkins goes in motion. They counter here with Ramey. Cutting back to 20, 25, 10, and down to the 5, and he's into the 5-yard line. Oh, he came back on this, gave it to him. He went in motion, and finally Henley stopped him on the 5-yard line.
and a great tackle by Henley because Henley tried to knock him off balance. Ramey, with that tremendous balance of his, wouldn't go down, and then Henley reached across and grabbed him by an ankle. He was gone if he hadn't made that second grab.
Winnipeg was all ready to go at that line of scrimmage, but the referee had allowed the time. But the referee, Leo Lewis, makes it 12-10 for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
And you know, he picks that old veteran and he picks those holes. Some good blocking there. He didn't have much of a hole. That Hamilton defense was moving up in tight. He had that goal line defense in there, that big mob that stopped anything from going down the middle. And Kenny Payne, that experienced quarterback, went wide with Leo Lewis.
Well, there you see, they were earlier trying to get a field goal to get back within a single point of the Tiger Cats. Now they're a field goal ahead with 1:04 to go. So the Winnipeg Blue Bombers will be kicking off. And I think what's very important as we look at a ball game this close is the fact that Hamilton had the choice in the first half. You'd expect Winnipeg to have the win in the fourth quarter.
Well, now you wonder what the strategy be. Do you want it? You've scored 2 touchdowns with the win. Are you going to try and keep up that momentum by taking that win again in the third quarter?
The kickoff by Norm Whitten. And going back for this, Cohey and McDougall. McDougall takes it on the goal line. 4 blockers in front of the 15. And he's coming sidewise, and Ernie Pitts drives a shoulder into him and drops him on the 25-yard line. 66-yard kickoff and a 26-yard return. .54 seconds on the clock. Leo Lewis picked up 30 points for the Bombers this year. And we are first down for the Hamilton Tiger Cats on the 25-yard line. Joe Zuger giving to Bethea, and Bethea stopped on the 28-yard line. Over there to get him was Al Miller. Bethea was the 5th top rusher in the Eastern Conference this year at an even average of 5 yards a carry. Their second down and 7 to go after that 3-yard pickup. And it doesn't look like those white caps out there in Lake Ontario are going to disappear. And that's, we would keep looking out there hoping they'd settle down and we'd have a little less wind. But I don't think we're going to get that lucky. Grant is the set out to the right. They give to Jerry McDougall. McDougall goes into the 32 before he's driven down, but he's hit by Ernie Pitts. And Stu, I have never seen Ernie Pitts. We haven't seen that much of him on defense, but I've never seen him hit like he's hitting today.
Well, he's going in there as if he's mad about something. You know, this is quite a move for a guy who's been a great offensive ball player. But then the coach comes to him, he says, Ernie, we need that speed and size of yours on defense. How about it? He switches over, and he's proving that he's football player all the way.
Flag is down, last play of the half. Joe Zuger goes on straight ahead sneak. Actually took a half step to his left and went into the 34-yard line as the gun sounds to end the half. 13-10, Winnipeg over Hamilton. And let's go downstairs now to Brad Keene and hear from him and his guest.
Okay, John, thanks very much. This is Bill Whistler, who early in the season rocked his knee, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. Bill specialized in defensive end work, is that correct?
That's right, Dad.
What do you think of the 2 defensive ends for the Bombers now?
I think they're very good. I think I'm going to have trouble getting my job back next year. They're both playing real well, Brad.
Of course, you did play some tackle as well in your career.
I played a little offensive tackle, right? But I'll just have to wait until training camp next year to find out if I've got a job or not.
Well, let's talk about your injury and what came early in the season, I believe. Is that correct?
August 25th, we played with Regina at home, and I tore a cartilage and a ligament in my knee, and they operated, and the doctor said it was a success, so everything should be all right for next year.
Let's talk about this ball game and this first half that went by, and for a time there, it looked as though the Bombers weren't going to make it. Now they knocked in 2.
Well, I think the team that wins this ball game will have to score against the wind. Both teams are using the wind real well, and nobody can move the ball against the wind.
Okay, thanks very much, Bill.
Okay,
thank you so much. Bill Whistler. Now it's back up to John.
Okay, Brad, Stuck and I will be back with you shortly to discuss the highlights of today's game.
7-Up is all action. No matter what the time or place, let's keep up with that happy pace. Get real action, 7-Up your thirst away. Get real action, 7-Up your thirst away. Say life's great, all of it, with 7-Up. with 7-Up.
Any thirst you can get, 7-Up can quench quickly, completely. It restarts the natural moisture in your mouth.
7-Up is all action. With 7-Up, you'll quench your thirst. With 7-Up, you'll quench it first. Get real action. 7-Up, 7-Up, 7-Up your thirst away.
Well, here it is halftime at the CNE Stadium in this Grey Cup game. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers leading the Hamilton Tiger Cats 13-10 in a kind of a wild and woolly first 30 minutes. A game that's dominated by the conditions, especially that, well, I don't know, you'd have to almost call it a gale, because as you look down on the field, you'll see the flags of the United Nations lined up on both sidelines. Right now, you can see the way they're blowing straight downfield, straightening right out. Gives you an idea of the problems that the team has when they're going against that wind. Down on the field show, we have the Hamilton Tigerettes, and you'll recognize well, Johnny, looks like they've got a real halftime show lined up for us here with a lot of activity from a lot of places.
Well, Duke, they've got a 50-piece band and a 65-member male chorus. Look at those uniforms over there. They're very white, they're very red. We don't have color TV. They're very breezy, maybe a little bit too breezy. It makes me chill all over looking at it out there. The theme, of course, of this halftime show is Do You Remember? A look at the past Grey Cup games and festivities. We may even get a resurrection of that fog bowl, Stu.
Gosh, I don't think so. That wind's blowing too strong for anything. But you know, you take a look at those girls out there without great big sweaters on. I get cold watching them.
Same here. I'm just chilling, and you have to really admire them. When they were out here just before the game, and they had sweaters and slacks, they each must have had 8-9 extra pounds on, but they don't have them there now, and you really have to admire them for going out there and putting on such a fine show for all these great people who've come out today to see this fine game.
Yeah, well, let's sit back and just take a look at it.
I'd like to thank all the people from across the country who've been sending us telegrams today. One of special interest for Stukas says, Annis, your coat is not on straight. Will you please fix it? Your wife asked me to send you a telegram, and it's signed from J.H. Greed.
Well, in Regina, you know, they'd appreciate style and class, and you get a belt twisted, a woman would notice it. Appropriate tune, all those beautiful girls out there. come now, the 48th Highlanders. And, you know, I seem to see something there. They're trying to make us remember 1962. They're trying awful hard to get a little bit of fog out there.
You know, Stu, nobody would believe that 62 fog thing, and I'm glad to announce that our Eastern football sponsors of this half, Labatt, was making that color Grey Cup film of this one so they'll be able to see this one many times before next year.
I think they'll be able to see it a little clearer, too. Okay, let's, while the Highlanders are getting into position, let's go down to Freddie Scambatti on the field.
There's the gentleman who's regarded as Mr. Grey Cup coordinator, Harry McBride, and Harry, if the weather today posed any particular problems for you. Well, it did this morning. It's not too bad. We don't feel nearly as badly now as we did earlier. Harry, how many years have you been doing this job? About 15. 15. We've got some great noise in the background here. Harry, it's good to see you back. Last year you weren't here, but it's good to see that smiling face back here again. It's wonderful to be back. I didn't think I was going to make it. It's a steadying influence, believe me. Harry McBride now back to Anna Stutz.
Thanks very much, Freddie. We'll resume with more of our halftime activities after this message.
7-Up is all action. No matter what the time or place, let's keep up with that happy pace. Get real action, 7-Up your thirst away. Get real action, 7-Up your thirst away. Say life's great, all of it, with 7-Up. Let's make a ball of it with 7-Up.
Any thirst you can get, 7-Up can quench quickly, completely. It restarts the natural moisture in your mouth.
7-Up is all action. With 7-Up, your thirst with 7-Up, you'll quench it first. Get real action, 7-Up, 7-Up, 7-Up your thirst away.
The 1965 Grey Cup game. The first half of today's Grey Cup game was brought to you by 7-Up and the 7-Up bottler in your community. Go for 7-Up, where there's action.
This is the CBC television network.
Welcome to the second half of Grey Cup 1965. My name is Bill Walker, and on behalf of everybody involved in the telecast, we hope you're enjoying the thrills, the excitement, the great performances of Canada's finest sports classic. And now we invite you to sit back and enjoy more of Canada's finest football, brought to you by Ford of Canada and the Ford and Mercury dealers in your community, who hope you enjoy the second half of Grey Cup 1965. Now, here is Anna Stutz.
Thanks very much, Bill Walker. And here we have Gordon Walker, the official Eastern Football Conference statistician. And Gordy, what do those facts and figures mean?
Well, Duke, it means that the wind has dictated the statistics for that first half. It's been like two separate games. Hamilton had the wind in the first quarter, dominated play. Winnipeg had it in the second quarter and dominated play. As you can see from the statistical board, Hamilton has had only 4 first downs, all in the first quarter, while Winnipeg had 11, and they got 10 of those in the second quarter when they had to win. In yards rushing, Hamilton has 89 yards, Winnipeg 83, a very slight edge for Hamilton. Passing, Winnipeg's had all the better of it. Kenny Flane has completed 6 out of 8, at least one was Leo Lewis, but Winnipeg has 6 out of 8 for 57 yards. The Tiger Cats, Joe Zuger, none for 2. 1 pass intercepted, that was by Garney Henley. Fumbles, the only fumble was lost by Hamilton, Winnipeg recovering. Penalties,
Hamilton has a slight edge here, a 5 for 40 yards and 3 for 10 against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. In punting, it's been a bad day for punting. Most of them have been against the wind. Joe Zuger has a 29-yard average for 5 punts, while Winnipeg, Ed Ulmer, has 4 for 20. They were all in the first quarter against the wind. The only field goal attempted was by Winnipeg, and Winton's attempt hit the crossbar. You can see the individual standouts at the bottom there, the 4 leading rushers of that first half of football. Duke?
Well, thanks very much, Gordy. Just about as close as that score would say. And the way you keep it, how do you work it out on those kicks when that ball starts coming back to these fellas?
Well, Duke, I didn't want to say this. We guess once in a while.
Well, we'll resume with more of our halftime activities after this message.
The 66 Fords. Discover the quiet of the new LTD by Ford, where quiet says quality. You can have uninterrupted music from a stereo tape player with 4 speakers. The new Ford Country Squire comes with a magic door gate. Opens like a door for people, opens like a tailgate for cargo. For 66, a new high-performance series, the 7-liter hardtop, with a standard 428 cubic inch V8. Powered by Ford, features by Ford, quiet by Ford. Test drive the 66 Fords at your Ford dealers.
Well, it's the precision routine here by none other than the Mounties, but these aren't the regular Mounties that we're used to seeing, Stoop. But I'll tell you one thing, each one of these is going to get her man.
No 2 ways about it. That's quite a routine. Remember, we got here about 8 o'clock this morning, and
we thought it was going to be the Mounties' horses when we looked at the script, and we said, that's field, man, if they do that.
Don McIntyre will go out of his mind. Turned out they've been rehearsing this thing since about 9:30, and
it's very similar to the actual Mountie routine with the horses, Duke.
They've copied it pretty perfectly. Well, let's sit down and watch these girls go through their maneuvers.
Good idea.
Think of all the time and trouble he went to fix up those hairdos. well-deserved hand for the Mounties. Now we take a look out at the, see the air cadets out there where there seem to be little bits of plyboard, and at the given signal, and there it is, Maple Leaf forever. And really there, and a 21-gun salute. They're not after Esau, that's just a 21-gun salute. Where's the Jack Wells they're after, Johnny? Well, as president of the Football Reporters of Canada, I imagine there'd be quite a few people firing at him. Anybody take any shots, Jack?
I don't think so, not today, Stu. This is not open season on the Football Reporters.
That wasn't a very loud one.
Those fellas trying to hold those flags or cardboards in that Maple Leaf design are having a real rough time on that wind.
Look at those flags, the way they're blowing. As I say, when it comes down to it, it gives you just an idea of the conditions that we'll be back with the second half kickoff after this message.
Should a single girl buy a Mustang? A 66 Mustang? Oh. Well, let's see.
Mustang's everything you could ask for on a secretary's salary. Check such features as bucket seats, 5-dial instrument panel, sporty steering wheel, and you may be Miss Mustang 66. But then add Ford's new stereosonic tape player with over 70 minutes of music. And all Paris is at your feet. Or match up a 3-speed Cruise-O-Matic drive with a lively 200 cubic inch 6. And you may be doing a 1.5 gainer at the Olympics.
Should a single girl buy a 66 Mustang? Wouldn't you?
Ask for a test drive on your next lunch hour and see.
Well, there's part of the huge crowd that's celebrating here, and I tell you could tell when those Western trains started to arrive yesterday in Toronto. Tickets as scarce as ever. All week long, the conversation was the comparison of the two teams. Everybody conceded Winnipeg an advantage in offense. Everybody conceded Hamilton an advantage on defense. Would the advantage of one supersede the advantage of the other and thus provide you with the outcome of the game? Well, it's a long way from being told yet. The story is only 13-10, Winnipeg over Hamilton at halftime. I think what you're going to find to be a crucial decision in this second half. The decision is not what Winnipeg would do, I don't think. I think because they're going to take the ball in the fourth quarter. We can only guess from here, of course. But I think the big question is, what will either team be able to do in the quarter where they have to face the wind? And it's been strange over the years when you get set up for a game where wind is expected to be a vital factor, and you find out that the teams were elected to stay on the ground and make valuable yardage against the wind. We're waiting to see whether or not that'll happen here today. A lot of all-stars in action here today as Winnipeg comes back out. Winnipeg has Herbie Gray, Frank Rigney, Kenny Plain, Ramey, all on that Western offensive all-star team. And on defense, they have Thornton, Jansen, Al Miller, and so they made it primarily on offense. Now in the Eastern Conference, you take a look on the Eastern offensive team, and you'll find Stan Crisson, along with Bronco Nagurski and Chuck Walton. But on defense, Hamilton has Garney Henley, Billy Waite, Don Southern, Zeno Karst, John Barrow, Angelo Mosca, Billy Ray Laughlin. So it gives you some idea of comparison of these two teams. And there's Kenny Plain, 30 years of age, one of the real nice guys in sport. Came up from Iowa, and it's, gee, I can remember the first game he played, which is nothing wrong with that, except that it suddenly makes you 9 years older. You wonder where those 9 years disappeared. But here's a guy who's been a real hero. Here's a look at Bud Grant, who has really turned out to be a publicity-conscious general manager, and to me was the outstanding part of the week when we saw Bud in action. Just couldn't seem to do enough for the press, just as Ralph Sazio did over there in Hamilton. Fine treatment. And Hap Schuldice has now given us the official word that the reason there was no yardage marked off on that earlier punt where there was a no yards was simply because into the wind today, the whistle will be blown. That ball will be blown dead, and where players, defensive players, do not have an opportunity to get out of that 5-yard zone. They're not going to be penalized today unless they have a chance to get out. But the wind is so strong still that it's being held by Dave Beatty for Don Southern, and the deep men go to the end zone. Dave Ramey, number 27, 29, Lewis, 14 is Dick Thornton. So here we go with Hamilton and the ball in the wind. And they kick down to the end zone. They're going to let this one go through and make them kick 10 yards back. But if it doesn't, oh, it did go out. Now, they can do that 3 times. And it'll go back 10 yards each time. The maximum situation that could take place. They don't take the ball back 10 yards to play, but the maximum number of times it can happen is 3. And then they would have to give up the ball at that point. So we may see, certainly on the third occasion, you see some place kicking on the convert. In other words, they're trying to drop the ball. Now Thornton, and they'll still go back to the end zone, and I don't think they're going to go any deeper now, but here's a look at it from our high end zone camera. With the receivers at the goal line. And this goes in again and out. And Leo Lewis didn't have to even take a second look at that one. He knew it was gone. No penalty again. And now Don Southern, as I said, on a third time, has to put that ball in there this time or lose it on his own 45.
The word will go out to Don Southern this time. Don't put it through. Just lay it up there. Kind of maybe flatten the ball out and play position. Forget about the distance, because if this one goes through, it comes back to the 45.
And I think that it's been discussed many times, and many people have the idea that this can only happen twice, but it's a third time, and here we have it now with Dave Beatty holding. It looked like Lewis, Ramey, and Thornton weren't going to go back as deep, but now they are back. And here's a short kickoff. They almost angled it to the side. Ramey fields the ball, takes it on one hop to the 10. And he's up to the 15, to the 20, into the 25, trying to get outside. It is driven back to the 23-yard line by Billy Waite. 30-yard kickoff, an 18-yard return. And that ball will be scrimmaged from the 23-yard line. It's Winnipeg 13, Hamilton 10 into the first minute of play. And there's Beatty and Mosca 68, 50 Lachlan, 65 Martinello, 23 Patera. As that defense gets ready, trying to hold this Winnipeg club. Hamilton has to get their hands on that football and do something with it in this quarter. Kenny Plain gives to Perkins. Perkins trying to break a tackle, but he's held around the ankle and dropped on the 27 by Marty Martinello. Marty Martinello, who is probably the best player the Argonauts had in their training camp.
Watch John Barrow on this. He's got the action, he's got double blocking, and he's still in there at the bottom of the pile with his arms around Perkins' ankle.
They just almost reached the 28-yard line, so it'll be a 2nd and 6 situation for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Ramey outside the right end. Perkins now goes in motion to the right, and they give to Lewis, trying to get him outside. He's got a big burst as he goes to the 35, and finally is brought down by Mosca on the 39-yard line with Garney Henley underneath and Mosca on top. Will Lewis. Only Jerry James has scored more points than this boy Leo Lewis in the history of the Bombers, and it goes back a long way. Bombers were in the first time, well, the Grey Cup back in 1925. Hamilton was into the first time back in 1910. So these are some great old traditional teams. First down, Winnipeg on their own 39-yard line. Quick toss on the right side, and they're in there to hit Perkins and drop him back on the 36-yard line with Zeno Kars. Zeno Kars has been in 8 Grey Cups. He shares that record with a number of players. Winnipeg over Hamilton. On the 36, it is 2nd down and 13 to go, and they give to Ramey, trying to get him outside. And he is driven down on the 43-yard line. Over they get him was Garney Henley. It'll be 3rd down and about 7. And over the years, I don't know if two teams who've had a better reputation and a better record for making second half comebacks. So when you got 2 great second half teams, it should be a great second half. Ed Ulmer on his own 27. The receivers are on the Hamilton 45 and 50, Grant and Henley. And it goes back over Grant's head. He takes it back on the 40, and then Norm Rawhouse takes him out on the 41-yard line. And there's a brief timeout on the field with a score of Winnipeg 10, at least Winnipeg 13, and Hamilton 10.
Buying a car without a test drive is like getting a mail-order bride. Test drive before you buy. Happiness is owning a new Ford.
And this is the thing that they try and do. They try and get a back with pretty good speed on a slower corner linebacker. And watch Bethia go in motion here. Number 54 pick him up. See Bethia wave, hey, I'm open. He just barely got it, and then he runs away. Ernie Pitts comes over from the other side of the field too late.
69 yards for the touchdown to put Hamilton ahead 16-13. That's the first completed pass of the ball game. Ernie Pitts is shaken up on the play. So Hamilton finally completes their first pass of the game, and they did it in grand style. Norm Rawhouse will come in to replace Ernie Pitts. Trainer Gordy Mackey with him, and now Don Southern attempts to split the uprights, the scoring champ of the Eastern Conference. A ball in one hop, and he still got it through. Don Southern, who won the East with 82 points this year. 17-13 for the Tiger Cats. And You know, Stuke, taking time out there to set that ball up. It's just time to remind you that we've had a great year bringing these football telecasts for the Ford people.
Well, it's been a great time. They're a wonderful bunch to work with, John.
There are a lot of firsts, including Ford. But Willie Bethia's first touchdown pass of the year. And here's that kickoff coming back now to Lewis. Into 10, 15. Look at this guy go. If he gets a break, 30. And is driven down. They'll touch him down to the 29-yard line as Johnny Simba. 73-yard kick and a 37-yard return. They'll place him between the 29 and the 30. Hamilton, 17. Winnipeg, 13 with 4 minutes gone in this third quarter. Hamilton in the Grey Cup for the 5th straight year, tying a record set by the only other team that did it, but had the only other team that has never won the Grey Cup, and that was Alvin Horace Ritchie's great old Regina teams back in 28, 29, 30, 31, and 32. Leo Lewis comes out, shaken up on that play. And Dick Thornton goes into the backfield. Versatile Dick Thornton. The last year of a 3-year contract for him. Cooper sets out left. Nielsen tightens up on the left side. Ramey, the right end, the right halfback outside the right end. Perkins driven down by Marty Martinello. Took another couple of steps. And then John Barrow came across to make sure he didn't go any farther. Art Perkins from North Texas State. Funny how you can replace not a fullback spot, one great North Texas State fullback, old Charlie Shepard, and then bring in another one named Art Perkins. By the way, Stuke, got word that old Horace Ritchie over there in Regina is in pretty good fettle these days. Said to say hello to everybody. And all football fans wish him well.
He's probably sitting there helping them coach, too.
It's 2nd down and 8 to go for the Bombers. They give to Ramey behind Herbie Gray. On that right corner, he's hit from the side and driven back by Billy Wade. Oh, that Hamilton club is gang tackling out there today.
And they took that head linesman with them. He got a little close. He didn't think that that pursuit was as tough as it was.
Dave Ramey. And Ulmer back to his own 20. He's 15 yards back of that line of scrimmage. Wants to take a little extra time because he's kicking into that wind. And, oh, look at the wind. He's got a hook. And Ulmer almost took his own ball. It's taken by John Barrow. And he's going all the way for a touchdown, but it'll be called back to the 30 because that ball will have been whistled dead. The ball is blown dead in this situation because of the wind factor.
There's that Ulmer on this kick. We've got him on the isolated camera. You see him take that ball.
There, the sun came out for just a moment there, and back goes Joe Zuger to throw. He's being rushed. Throws a screen in here to Bethia. Bethia trying to cut back inside. He fumbles the ball. Winnipeg has it.
Bethia made a great catch on that. It almost got him away from. He tried to tuck the ball in. He was hit, and then number 65 was in on that tackle. Got in there to recover the ball.
I'd like to point out again, and we've mentioned it many times, but for those who may not understand it, on a very windy day, the referee can blow that ball dead so that people cannot be trapped in a 5-yard zone. It's unfair to the defense. It's unfair to the offense. Rather than take any unnecessary chances, they blow the ball dead, and that explains the previous play. First down for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers as Kenny Plain gives here to Dick Thornton. Thornton slips and falls, hit by Dave Beatty, got up and went again, and moved just over the 31-yard line. Hit by Don Southern, an Eastern All-Star. You know, Ford of Canada has been the quarterback calling the signals on these football telecasts week after week, and as far as I'm concerned, it's been a real pleasure working on Ford's team.
Well, I know I've enjoyed it, and I know the fans have, and I think Ford have too.
Second down and 8 to go for Winnipeg as they give to Dick Thornton, and Thornton puts his head down to the 35. He'll be 3.5, 4 yards short of a first down as Herb Patera made the stop. And there's a brief timeout on the field with the score Hamilton 17, Winnipeg 13.
In the 66 Ford, quiet says quality. Powered by Ford says total performance. Try total performance.
Less than a converted touchdown apart, and this is what Grant is playing for, trying to hold and figuring he can make that back in the fourth quarter with the win.
Well, you figure if you can stay within maybe 10 points coming out of this third quarter going into that fourth, they figure they should be able to pick up 10 points the way it has been going. It's a bit of a gamble. He leaves it up to the offense now. And the way it is now, Kenny Plain is still going to have to throw against that win once in a while because that Hamilton defense is in there awful tight. They're not going to do too much running against them.
Reinforcing the guys move in to get set, and here comes Kenny Plain. He's going to go with a big reverse to Cooper, and Cooper's caught back here. Caught for a big loss on the 12-yard line. And it was Jim Reynolds again, and Billy Cooper with his hands on the ball for the first time threw the ball into the ground in disgust.
And one of the times when even an experienced quarterback will maybe forget about something, because when you haven't got them spread out, when those backs aren't deep, when they're in there waiting for running stuff, it's pretty hard to fool them with any kind of a reverse. They've still got to be afraid of that pass threat for a reverse, a deep reverse like that to work.
On the 12-yard line, Winnipeg, second down and 23 yards to go. And they give to Perkins, caught by Marty Martinello and then dropped in there by Herb Patera. Back on the 6-yard line. This reminds me of the good old days, Duke, when they say, you grab him and I'll hold him and I'll hit him. You think they could come with another safety here?
Well, if they gave up a safety touch from, they were about the 28-yard line on the first one. Now they're back on their own 8-yard line. I'm pretty sure the word has gone out. Give them 2 and let's try it again. Let's try and eat that clock up a little quicker, though.
That would make it 21-13. It would give them a converted touchdown and a single apart. And Dick Thornton lines up on the right side. And here goes Plain, the safety touch. And the fans here don't like it. Of course, they are predominantly Hamilton fans. I wouldn't say, I'm speaking in numbers now, but that doesn't make them predominantly Hamilton fans in vocal decibels.
But those Hamilton fans, even a few of them will out-decibel a lot more other people. But, a fan will say, what the heck, we came to see a football game. What about all this strategy going? But it's still, when you're a coach, this is the right play.
Except for the next 8 months, you don't have to tell them how you won it or lost. It's just how you won it or lost. Just that you won it or lost it. Now Norm Rawhouse splits out wide to the left. Bumps in the tight end right, and here's Kenny Plain ducking his head down. Almost got away. And he got 9.5 yards in the play. 6 minutes left to go in the third quarter of play. It's Hamilton 21, Winnipeg 13.
And a brilliant call by Kenny Plain there. He could see that blitz forming down the middle, and that they came in so fast that actually I think they kind of helped push him out of the way to get at the ball carrier, who happened to be Plain.
Second down and 1 yard to go. And Norm Rawhouse has to switch ends in a hurry there, and they give here to Art Perkins, and Perkins has the first down as he reached the 36-yard line. And there's a brief timeout on the field with the score Hamilton 21, Winnipeg 13.
Buying a car without a test drive is like buying a suit without trying it on. Test drive before you buy. Happiness is owning a new Ford.
On the 36-yard line, first down, Winnipeg Blue Bombers. It's 21-13 for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and here goes Dave Ramey in motion to the left. Kenny Plain tries to sneak, and he's driving in there, pushes Marty Martinello back, and stopped him on the 40. Interesting, you know, you check the records of Ralph Sazio and Bud Grant. Both very high, very well over the 500 win and lose mark. And here goes Kenny Plain giving to Dave Ramey, and Ramey is caught back there by Angelo Mosca and John Barrow. And this big Art Perkins ahead of Ramey in there has been held to 18 yards and 10 carries. The kind of a day where you expect the fullback to do most of the work. But then, of course, the defense also expects it and have been successful in holding. 21-13, Hamilton over Winnipeg. And this is going down to the wire. 4 minutes remaining. And Ed Ulmer on his own 20-yard line. He's going to hoop it this time. Going back out of bounds right at the Hamilton bench. They went out at about the 53-yard line. In the meeting this year, Ralph Sazio saw his club with a 20-point lead and lose the game 26-21, one of the great games of the year. But it's interesting to compare their teams as well as their records. You know, Winnipeg has 23 players who are 33 years of age, or at least are 25 or under. And here goes Zuger back to throw the long one. He steps into the hole, and he's got Bobby Kuntz with him, and Kuntz fumbles the football. It is loose. It's recovered by Winnipeg. Phil Minnick. Henry Jansen coming up with it.
Big break for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers here. A good play by Zuger. He's hit. He ducks and he starts running. Bobby Kuntz gets in a position. A good lateral, and he unfortunately he batted it down and in. Jansen had a great collision. And Winnipeg, the big break, they recover that ball.
Well, Hamilton has lost 3 fumbles. Winnipeg has not lost any. And Winnipeg now with 3 minutes and 18 seconds remaining in the third quarter. It is now on the 36-yard line. Kenny Plain sets in motion, gives to Art Perkins inside. Ooh, we got a shoulder right into the chin from Angelo Mosca and dropped him on the 40. And at the 12-minute mark of the third quarter, the score is Hamilton 21, Winnipeg 13.
We used to call Fred king of the crabgrass diggers. Then he dug Mustang 66. Mustang swept him out of the ordinary. Here in the cockpit, bucket seats, sporty steering wheel, 5-dial instrument cluster are standard. With Mustang options like front disc brakes, a stereosonic tape player, 289 cubic inch Cobra V8. Fred soared to new heights into the wild blue yonder of adventure. We call him Fred, ace of all aces now. Is there no stopping him? Not in any Mustang for 66.
3 minutes and 6 seconds unofficially on the big clock. 21-13, Hamilton over Winnipeg. The ball is on the 40-yard line. And we have a player, Dick Thornton, is coming into the bench, and he did not get it in time. If he doesn't get out, there'll be a penalty out there. He just hustled out the field in time. Second down and 7 yards to go for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on their own 40. They fake to Lewis. Here's playing on the right side, stopped by Zeno Kars. Back of the line of scrimmage. That'll make it 3rd down and 8. Let's go down there now to Brad Keene for a fast report.
Leo Lewis retired to the dressing room. He had a bruised hip when they made a quick repair job, John. I think they taped a pad on his hip, and he's back in the ballgame. But I don't think he'll be carrying too much from here on in. Ernie Fitz has a hamstring problem, but they're all going to stay in.
Ulmer back to his own 25-yard line on a 3rd and 8 situation. And here's the snap. And waiting under this one is Garney Henley. And stepping in front of him there was Don Southern. Southern hit by Farrell Funston, carries him for a couple of yards and is dropped on the 51. What a great football season, and it's wrapping up in great style, and what a great football sponsor we've had, too. That's the Ford of Canada team, Stuke.
Well, it's been a pleasure working with them. You know, they've been the quarterback, calling the signals for these telecasts week after week.
And we go with the Hamilton Tiger Cats, 2 minutes and 4 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter. Zuger's going back to throw, and he is caught back in there, and he's dropped for a loss. Oh, we had Roger Hamlin, Norm Whitten, Mariani, everybody, like they were drawing straws, saying, he's mine, he's mine. Winnipeg in rushing has carried 37 times for 85 yards. Hamilton 21 for 108.
And good coverage by the Winnipeg defense here. You can, on the play, Tommy Grant and all the other ones were well covered. Joe just didn't have time to pick anybody out.
Now the Tiger Cats are 2nd down and 17 to go, and here's Zuger going back to throw again, down to the middle here to Bethea, and he fumbled the ball. Had it and dropped it. Well, now that forces Hamilton into what would normally be a gambling situation early with 1 minute and 18 seconds. But if they gambled and lost, they would give Winnipeg the ball in good field position, so they have to put her downfield. Minute 12. They have 3 deep men back. Wozni, Cooper, and then to replace Lewis, and Ulmer. High snap over the head of Joe Zuger. He gets the ball away anyway. Good kick. Watch the bounce on this. And over the head of Cooper. Goes all the way back into the end zone. And he is stopped. The ball does not come loose. Could possibly be a safety, but it'll likely be a single. It'll probably be a single.
The question will be whether he ever had control of the ball and he was just playing it. It wasn't his momentum that carried it over. It was actually the momentum of the kick that took that ball over the goal line, so it would be 1 point.
That was
if he had carried it back, then it would have been 2 points.
68-yard punt. And we have 45 seconds remaining. Safety touch, a safety touch, and a single. Wes Bethea's touchdown has been the scoring situation. And here goes Leo Lewis, caught back there, and he's dropped. And there's a lot of little extra effort. Billy Laughlin says, look, I've got the football, Mr. Referee. And Mr. Referee says you're late. 25 seconds left. Now they'll obviously take as much time as they can on this, because if they are forced to punt, they'll want to do it on the first play of the 4th quarter, which would be with the win. But the score is now 22 for Hamilton, 13 for Winnipeg. A clock showing 20 seconds. The flag is up. Taking a long time in that huddle, and I don't suppose they'd mind if they were called for too long in the huddle in this situation anyway. Here they go in motion. Kenny Plain turning that corner, gets away from one, and then is stopped on the 6-yard line, or the 16-yard line. Now the gun is not sounded. The flag is down, and the gun does sound. So they just made that in the nick of time. 22-13, Hamilton over Winnipeg. They'll have to kick with the win. And that ends the 3rd quarter. While the teams are changing ends, let's pause for 60 seconds.
Look. And look again at Fairlane 66. Still rugged, still reliable, but reinvented by Ford with 13 full-line models.
like this Fairlane XL hardtop. The 66 Fairlane Squire. Reinvented. A magic door gate that swings out for people. Swings down for cargo. A Fairlane GTA. Under special hood louvers, a 390 cubic inch V8. In the cockpit, a special sport shift. Select full automatic or shift through gears manually. 13 Fairlanes for 66 at your Ford dealers now.
The temperature is 36 degrees. It'll give you a little idea of what's happening out there in those big weight caps coming up off the breakwaters. So, Ed McPherson out there in Vancouver, what's that you're saying about the sun and the warm temperature? Well, we have Winnipeg with 12 first downs, Hamilton 6. Winnipeg 76 yards rushing, Hamilton 108. Winnipeg has completed 6 out of 8 passes for 57 yards, Hamilton 2 out of 5 for 71. And now we have Winnipeg with Ed Ulmer making his first punt with the wind on his own 3-yard line. Johnny Henley shades his eyes into the sun. And Ulmer gets a dandy. The record is 90 yards. This goes back to the Johnny Henley on the 16-yard line. Henley to the 25. Driven over here by Farrell Funston, who's got him by the seat of the pants and doesn't let go. He had stretch pants on, so he got an extra yard out of it. 79 yards was the length of that punt.
There's Garney. You can see Garney Henley shading his eyes and going back. That ball didn't bounce, and now there he goes. And watch this.
'28-yard line, and it's Hamilton with Winnipeg moving offside. It was Roger Hamlin. Frank Cosentino holds onto the football. Now we have the desperate situation. 14 minutes and 14 seconds left to play. Hamilton is leading Winnipeg 22-13. Winnipeg has beaten Hamilton in 5 out of their 8 Grey Cup meetings. The last time they met was in the fog, and we're not afraid to say it now. It's too late to set the jinx in. That was back in '62, of course. Here we go, first down and 5 to go on the 33-yard line. Frank Cosentino, the quarterback. He sends Bethia in motion, and the count on the other side, they fumble. Winnipeg has picked up the football. Winnipeg Blue Bombers have recovered. Robbie Kuntz was not able to hold on to that football. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers take over in a very crucial spot, because they are on the 33-yard line. Bombers really coming up. That's the 4th fumble they have recovered. And they're down 8 points, but in good position right now. Billy Cooper wide to the left. They give here to Leo Lewis. Following his blocking, he has to make the last few yards on his own, however, as he goes for 9 yards to the 24-yard line. The Lincoln Locomotive, stopped by Garney Henley. Second down and 1 yard to go. Hamilton leading by 9 points, 22-13. And they have second down and 1 to go. And Kenny Plain gives to Art Perkins, and he tripped over John Barrow's leg. Otherwise, he'd have had a good 4 or 5 extra. He moves into about the 22, nearly 22-yard line. Have to wait for them on file there to get an official on it. And Perkins hurt his leg as he tripped over Barrow's leg and fell on that knee. ...225-pound fullback Art Perkins played 6 games last year. And he said, I was getting a little discouraged last year, figuring he'd only get the ball in 2nd and 1-yard situations.
And on this play, watch Perkins take that ball. Watch him just see the way he just tripped over Barrow's heel. And they're working on his leg right now. That was one of those collisions that...
Bud Grant, a little happier when he sees that Perkins is coming off under his own steam, and Thornton will go into that backfield. You know, we mentioned earlier about Leo Lewis throwing that pass. In his 10 years, every 3rd pass he ever threw for Winnipeg went for a touchdown. First down on the 22-yard line for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers with Plain. Looking over here to that right side after faking to the left. He is now starting to run. Into the 15, down to the 10. Is stopped in there by Billy Waite. He landed on the 10. That's a gain of 12.
You know, Kenny Plain seemed to have a little extra time on that. He was looking around at it, and watch him, he's got lots of time. Then he sees that big hole, and watch this tackle by Billy Waite. Plain didn't even bother trying to dodge him.
So it is first down on the just over the 10-yard line. And here we go with Plain countering in here to Ramey, trying to get inside, and he's caught by Jim Reynolds, who grabbed him around the ankles. That play was originally designed to go outside the end. But Ramey, the great Michigan halfback, saw that it was not there, and he had to kind of ad-lib to the inside. He's on the 7. It'll be 2nd down and 7 to go. And we have Norm Rawhouse coming in. Billy Cooper comes out. Play from the bench on a 2nd and 7 situation. No, Thornton goes in. Rawhouse goes in. Will he run as a flanker? Nielsen is now the right flanker. Rawhouse becomes the left end. Here is Plain going back to throw. Looking into the end zone, and it is no good. Too high. And there's a brief timeout on the field with the score Hamilton 22, Winnipeg 13.
We belong to the Meteor Admiration Society.
See Meteor today.
Well, I rather suspect that Norm Whitten comes in to try to close it, because a field goal here would put them an unconverted touchdown apart. And when you get back to this late stage of this game, the club with the ball in the last play is probably going to win it, and they're trying to look for that situation where a point would mean that much.
They're trying to get that insurance point. They need it anyways. They still got 10 minutes to go, and this would be a good place to take it.
That's good. Hamilton goes ahead 22 to 16 now. 6 points separating. And we have 10.5 minutes to go in the ball game. Mariani on that left end, anxious to get going. Cosentino, the quarterback. He's got Mel Anthony, a wide fullback flanker. And Cosentino keeps cutting back into the middle, and he stopped on the 40s. He picks up 5. Frank Cosentino, number 11, who in the shadow of Bernie Filoni for 5 years, now trying to battle it out with Joe Zuger for that starting job.
And you know, just shows you how the defensive men will key on the halfbacks and forget about the quarterback. You see Miller go way over there, and when Cosentino came back, somebody else had to recover in a hurry.
Second down and 5 yards to go. Frank Cosentino again sets his action wide. He counters to the middle here with Willie Bethea, and Bethea is 2 yards away from a first down, and he's brought down on the 43. About a yard and a half, maybe, if they place that ball about the 43 under that pile somewhere. And Dick Cohey, who had 4 carries for 45 yards in the first quarter, has not had the ball since. Joe Zuger will be kicking from the 29, and the deep men, Wozni and Cooper, from Brandon and Winnipeg, on the 37-yard line, and he stopped on the 42. 31-yard kick into the wind. We would like to thank, on behalf of our sponsors, Ford of Canada, the many folks across the country who have taken the trouble to write in and say thank you for bringing these football telecasts to the Canadian football fans all year. We at Ford and with Ford are very pleased that you appreciate it and look forward to doing more. It's by Leo Lewis.
And on this one, you know, the combination of blocking and mostly, I'd have to say, great running by Leo Lewis. This Hamilton defense smelled that one. Look at him just break away, and now watch him pick up his blockers, break tackles, keep on going, and steal an extra 9 yards on that play with just driving running.
Nielsen out to the left. This Kenny Flane takes that from center. Fumbles the ball. It comes loose, and Hamilton has recovered. John Barrow was in there underneath the pile. Hamilton has lost only 9 fumbles all year, but they lost 4 today, and they finally get one back. John Barrow was blitzing on that play, and the ball popped right to that spot. This guy in 9 years has been an all-star 9 times in 5 positions. Here goes Frank Cosentino in a 1st and 10 situation. He gives here to Willie Bethea, and Bethea jumped off of 1 to the 40, down to the 35, 30, 25, being chased, and he is finally pushed out by Al Miller. A great play by Al Miller, because he was gone. Watch him as he comes to the sideline now, because there was nobody between he and the goal line.
Watch Willie Bethea on this behind. Good blocking. One missed tackle. They cut it in too tight. Another great move. And now watch Miller take off, gambling that he could push him out of bounds, and it worked.
38 yards was the length of the gain, and the Steel City comes to life. Ball is on the 16-yard line. Herbie Gray has gone into the corner to replace Robson on that left side. And Cosentino sends Jerry McDougal in motion. He fakes here to Anthony, keeps the ball, cutting back in, and he is dropped on the 14-yard line. And there's a brief timeout on the field with the score Hamilton 22, Winnipeg 16.
Meteor's dual-action tailgate works like a tailgate and also swings open like a door. See it today on the exciting Meteor 66.
Second down and about 8.5 yards to go. He didn't get 2 on the play. Ball is just shy of just between the 14 and the 15s. The sun comes out again, but that hasn't chased any wind away. And here's Frank Cosentino calling that shot. He can flip it if he wants, but he's caught from the side. Mariana, the ball is loose. It's loose again, and Winnipeg goes after the ball. It's recovered by Dick Thornton. And Thornton is dropped on the 32-yard line by Stan Crisson. So Hamilton has lost their 5th of the afternoon.
You know, on this one, Frank Cosentino seemed to have made up his mind that he was going to keep it. Now, you see that fake, and then it was knocked out of there. Jerry McDougal tried to get it, and then a great recovery by Dick Thornton, who came up from the other side of the field to get in on that play.
Winnipeg is first down on the Winnipeg 33-yard line. Plain sends Lewis in motion right. Perkins goes back into block form, and he's being chased. He's going to run. Sees the side, starts to go, and he gets away from Zeno Karst. Then Herb Patera keeps going to the 52-yard line. How about that?
I tell you, that's that veteran quarterback, boy. He's still got those legs.
Jim Reynolds came over to make the stop. That Kenny Plain looked like he was stopped, and he took off like my XL 500.
Well, this is a great ending to a great football season, Johnny, and as I mentioned before, what a great sponsor.
52-yard line. It'll be first down and 10 for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. 5 minutes and 44 seconds left to go in the ball game, and here is Leo Lewis trying to get to the outside. Caught over here on the 54-yard line, so his gain is 4 yards, and it was Dick Cohey over there.
And you see Herbie Gray, number 53, trying to stay ahead of him, giving it that extra effort. He got knocked down on his knees, and he was still trying to block.
Herbie Gray playing his last game of professional football in Canada. This is his 10th year. 6 times an All-Star, and a great defensive end for 8 years, an offensive guard this year, and an All-Star. And he's listed as the number 2 backup man in every one of the linebacking positions. Kenny Plain goes back to throw, chased by Marty Martinello, steps out to that right side. Now Dave Beatty chases him. He puts his head down as he goes to the 50, tries to cut back in, but Beatty had enough of him to drive him out. There's a brief timeout on the field with the score Hamilton 22, Winnipeg 16.
What is your wish, Master?
I want a powerful car, a sporty car, a glamorous car.
You want a big new generation Comet.
Will they go here? Hamilton sends in the big beef to bolster up that line. Now Winnipeg, considering if they ever gave up the ball here in a punt, Hamilton could keep it to the end, so they can't afford to do that. They've got to hang on to the ball and keep going. They're third down and a yard to go. They're down in 4 feet. They're on the Hamilton 49-yard line. Kenny Plain sets Ramey to the right. Perkins is full back, and he's going back, looking for that pass down the middle to Farrell Funston. What a call. And Plain was shaken up on the play. Hit by Nagurski. What a call.
You know, that was a goal line defense in there. You've got about a 10-man line. They've taken the secondaries out to beef it up so that he can't get that short yardage. And I tell you, it takes a real experienced pro and a little bit of intestinal fortitude to stand back there and pick that man for that first down. A big play.
First down on the 40-yard line. And here we go with Kenny Plain. Lewis back to Ramey on the reverse. And he's hit by Karst and is driven out after a 7-yard gain. 3 minutes and 50 seconds left to go in the ball game. Hamilton 22, Winnipeg 16. Now, the last time these two teams met, they made a number of changes. And as I said, they're very close to each other in many categories. Winnipeg has 12 players left from that 62 team, and Hamilton has 13. Second down and 7 to go for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on the Hamilton 33-yard line. Hamilton, known as a great defensive ball club, needs that great defense right now. Kenny Plain gives to Perkins, and Perkins is stopped short of a first down. But this is not a bad thing for Winnipeg because they keep pecking away and killing off time as they move to the goal line. But getting close enough to kick is no good to them. On a 3rd and 1 situation, they'll probably gamble as they did before, and they'll look to see whether Ralph Sazio will send in the big goal line stand out here on the 30-yard line, which cost them because Plain threw over them last time. 3 minutes and 8 seconds left to go. 22-16 for Hamilton. Traditional, typical, great football game between Hamilton and Winnipeg. The ball blew away. Marty Martinello put it back, cheated by a half a foot. They replaced it. Here we go, 3rd down and 1 to go, and they give to Perkins this time. Now, I don't know if he made it or not. The Hamilton defensive team rushes out, and I don't think he made that first down.
It didn't look like it, Johnny. He got hit pretty quick. I don't think he penetrated that line at all.
Hamilton takes over the football. And at the 12-minute mark of the 4th quarter, the score is Hamilton 22, Winnipeg 16.
We'd like to bring our Meteor showroom to your door. Yes, these are the beautiful 66 Meteors. Meteor's longer wheelbase gives you a smooth, comfortable ride. You like the styling. Clean, long, low. And these flashing lights. It's a safety feature. Standard on the 66 Meteor. Emergency flashing lights. Hey, it's padded. Right. Meteor's beautiful swept-away dash is padded. Another safety feature. And look at all the room. Lets you really stretch out. Boy, does that look smart. And comfortable, too. It's easy to relax in those luxurious bucket seats. Slide in. See what I mean? Don't wait. Don't hesitate. Join the excitement now. Come on down to your local Mercury dealer. Test drive the beautiful 66 Meteor today.
The ball is on the 30-yard line. We have 2 minutes and 52 seconds now left to go. It's 22-16 for Hamilton, setting the stage for a dramatic finish in a great Grey Cup game. Joe Zuger is in at quarterback. McDougal and Anthony go in as the fullbacks. And he's taking a long time before he brings that ball out. Joe Zuger. That's Tommy Grant wide to the right. They go to the middle here with Bethia, and Bethia is hit head on in there by Norm Whitten. That gain is 2.5 yards. Big spot here because if they can't move the sticks at least once, Winnipeg's going to have a punt and have a full sequence to go. And the ball is just over the 33-yard line, so it is 2nd down and 7. And they have not thrown a pass to Grant. They've only thrown one to Patterson today, which is a strange game for Hamilton, but it's been dictated by the weather. Anthony comes out to the right. Bethia goes back inside, is knocked down at the line of scrimmage. So Hamilton will stare at that Winnipeg offense once more. And I'd like to remind everybody that we'll be going down to the dressing room. The winner's dressing room, whichever it happens to be. And I can tell you, with our cameras ready to break to go, they can't go yet because they don't know where to go and won't know till the last play.
Well, this is going to be Winnipeg's last chance, I think.
And here goes Joe Zuger. It's an end-over-end ball, and it's going to bounce out at the 47-yard line. Well, it's not a bad move. In a spot like this, I think Joe Zuger's content to get that. 14 yards. There's a Hamilton bench. Everybody's up.
And here's what it comes down to. That great Hamilton defense. Can they stop that Winnipeg offense that's supposed to be able to penetrate it? We all boiled down to the last 2 minutes of the season.
Thornton flanks out wide to the left. Here comes Perkins in motion, and Kenny Plain goes back to throw. And the rush is on by Martinello. He throws the pass for Lewis, and they reach up for it. It is no good. Don Southern almost intercepted. Don Southern almost intercepted, but as he bumped into one of his own players down there, Vino Karts.
Let's take a look at this play on the isolated camera. As we pick up Leo Lewis, number 29. There he goes. And Kerr's doing a great job of staying with them, and Don Southern coming over there to get that ball.
2nd down and 10 to go for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on the Hamilton 47-yard line. Thornton again wide left. Lewis goes in motion left. Plain going back to throw. The rush is on. They've got him back there. He breaks out of one. He's still trying to get that ball away. And John Barrow. And Billy Ray Lachlan. Stop him on the 52. There's a minute and 14 seconds left to go. They put it on the 51-yard line. So the loss will be exactly 4 yards, making it 3rd down and 14 to go. Now Nielsen comes out. Rawhouse goes in with the play from Coach Bud Grant. Remember how that 62 game between these teams finished up 28-27, finishing the next day? This is 22-16. 59 seconds left to go in the ball game. Thornton is out to the left. If they ever made a great pass, they better have it now. Here goes Plain, back to throw again. He throws down the middle. Lewis cannot hold on to the ball. They lose the ball. And Hamilton takes over. And Kenny Plain.
And Zeno Karis came out of nowhere there to just stick out a hand and tip that out of Leo Lewis's hands. And I tell you, John, it over there just in time. And all the pass patterns say that's no place for him to be in the middle of the line. He's supposed to be outside covering.
22-13 it was at 3/4. The only score of this quarter has been the field goal, and Hamilton has been able to hold. Joe Zuger on that sneak, just trying to kill off the clock. There's 23 seconds left unofficially. And he picked up a couple at a 2nd down and 8, but he's not even worried about yards. He'd be satisfied to be 3rd and 10 when the game ends, as long as he's still got the football. And the 33,000 fans had not budged. They are now with 11 seconds left to go in the ball game, and he's taking a full time. As referee Ray Boucher has 11 seconds left in his career. Now 4 seconds. And we have Winnipeg offside. Joe Zuger holds the ball. And that could about end it. It does. The game is over. The gun sounds. Hamilton Tiger Cats finally broke the jinx against the great Winnipeg Blue Bomber team.
You know, a few people adding up this score will take a look at the 6 points that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers gave away in safety touches. This is what they'll look at. They're not going to realize that if they had kicked the ball, it might have been 21 or a little bit more. They say the second guessers will have a field day on this. Should they or shouldn't they have been giving away those safety touches?
Well, we're going to see the presentation of the trophy down below as they can clear that mob away. We'll be doing that in just a moment. Then we will be going to the dressing rooms. And we'll resume with more of our post-game activities after this message.
New Comet Cyclone GT. Bigger, bolder than any Comet before. Comet Cyclone GT. Convertible or hardtop. Console shift, standard. Bucket seats, heavy-duty suspension. Twin scoop GT hood, all standard. What makes it move? A 390 cubic inch V8, 4 barrels, standard. Comet Cyclone GT. Once in your life, live this kind of excitement. Mercury Comet, big, beautiful performance champion.
Well, Sid Halter, the commissioner of the Canadian Football League, is having a tough time moving in that crowd down there so they can get into a position to present that trophy to the Hamilton captains. Now, that's going to take a little sorting out down there. There's no question about that. But the scoring was with Don Southern's single on the opening kickoff. Cohee's touchdown, the convert by Southern, the safety touch given up by Plain. Then Art Perkins made it 10-6. Lewis made it 12-10, and then it moved ahead 13-10 and wound up 22-16 with the big third quarter splurge by Hamilton. But Thea's touchdown, 2 safety touches and a single, and they had to do it against the wind, and they, at least with the wind in the third, they did it. with the wind in the third.
And then in that fourth quarter, when that defense had to come through, when they had to do the job, that great Hamilton defense did it. They stood in there. Kenny Plain threw just about everything that he could think at them. And in the final analysis, I have to say that Hamilton defense was just that much better than that great Winnipeg offense. A great football game, an exciting football game. A lot of good plays out there, a lot of good tackling, a lot of good blocking. And like every other Grey Cup, there's going to be an awful lot of second guessing after this.
So Ralph Sazio, who had 2 cracks at it as a head coach, unable to do it against this Winnipeg club, has now finally done it. So in his 3rd straight year, he's finally come through with one of the things that you really want in life, and that's the championship. And that was Sid Halter trying to work his way through there again. One of the toughest battles of the day is the one where they try to keep the goalposts from going down at the end. And Toronto's finest is still trying to protect those valiantly.
But I think they're trying to remind the fans that those are steel posts. They don't come down like the wooden ones, and they're trying to save them a lot of time and trouble.
Okay, well, we're ready now to give you the final total to see what these statistics look like. And Gordy Walker has been busily putting those together, so let's see how they shape up. Gordy?
Well, it's been quite a last half there, John, but Winnipeg Blue Bombers had a big edge in first down, 17-7 against Hamilton. Yards rushing was fairly even, 157 yards for Hamilton, 149 for Winnipeg. Winnipeg suffered badly there because they had a lot of yards deducted on those intended safety touches. Pass attempts, Hamilton completed only 2 out of 5, but they went for 71 yards. One was a 69-yard touchdown play. Winnipeg, 7 out of 12 for 66 yards. 1 pass intercepted, and that was by Hamilton. In fumbles, Hamilton fumbled 5 times and lost every one of them, which is almost some kind of a record for them. Winnipeg fumbled once and lost once. And penalties, Hamilton 5 for 40 yards, Winnipeg 3 for 15 yards. In the punting department, very poor punting because of the wind. Hamilton attempted 8 punts for a 32.7-yard average. Winnipeg 9 for 24.7. The only 2 field goals attempted were by Winnipeg. Norm Winton completed one, hit the goal. Story. Now, Johnny.
Well, Gordy, I didn't see your game comparison at the beginning because I was downstairs, but I don't know if you can reflect just for a second or two on what these 2 records over the season might have looked like when you come to the final in their big meeting.
Well, they looked pretty good. Winnipeg had an edge all the way down the line, and Hamilton had a slight edge in yardage on passing, but on the yardage completed, Winnipeg had the edge, which they did during the season. All the way down pretty well. It reflected the season's average per game for both
So
teams.
Winnipeg was supposed to have the advantage in offense, which they did statistically. Hamilton was supposed to win it defensively, which they did. So really, that scoreboard is what tells you the story.
That's it. Well, don't give the statistics some credit, John.
Okay, Gordy, thanks very much for working, and thanks very much for working this all year. Nice job.
Thanks, Johnny.
Okay, well, we'll go back. We're getting ready to go downstairs, and we'll be down here. The boys are getting ready over there. So while they're getting set, I just want to remind you we're going to resume with more of the post-game activities from the dressing room after this message.
The beautiful 1966 Meteor, a car you'll never forget. The 1966 Meteor leaves a lasting impression, a happy dazed kind of dazzle on everyone who test drives it. 66 Meteor's dramatic new styling, elegant luxury is something you'll remember vividly.
We belong to the Meteor Admiration Society.
Even in the pleasant relaxation of your own living room, you just can't forget Meteor's deep foam-padded bucket seats that surround you with a whole new world of comfort. Take the wheel of a Meteor. Just once, test drive a Meteor. Longer than any other car in its class. There's so much car in Meteor, so much excitement. Test drive the 66 Meteor, but remember, Meteor for 66 is great. So great that once you've tried it, you will never settle for anything less.
Well, we're down in the Hamilton dressing room where, as per usual, pandemonium is supreme. We have the commissioner of the Canadian Football League, Mr. Sid Halter, is going to make the presentation of the Grey Cup. Sid? Ready? Yes, sir.
President Pat Mahoney and I are very pleased to present to you this historic trophy, emblematic of the Championship of Canada. And my congratulations for an excellent game.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Halter. Thank you. John, very good.
Great
Wonderful. Okay, John. Here's Pat Mahoney, the president of the Canadian Football League. Pat?
Congratulations, John. Marvelous game. Caps off a wonderful season. One of the most exciting Grey Cup games in history, and I guess one of the most unusual.
It sure has to be.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pat. Ralph Sazio. My congratulations
Thank
to
you very much. It was quite a victory for our club.
Head coach of the Hamilton Tiger Cats for 3 years. You've been in the Grey Cup 3 years, and you won it twice.
That's pretty not bad.
Well, this game, Ralph, today, this win was quite a factor.
Yes, no doubt about it. We knew this from the start, and it was just a matter of juggling around and trying to come up with the right formula with it. That's all. It throws all your plans right out of the window.
Right out the window. You more or less have to play it by ear
all the way through. That's right.
And there were just a number of ups and downs and situations, and I guess your emotions just went from one end to the other.
It sure was.
Throughout the course of the game. Were there any particular points, Ralph, in the game that you thought were...
Well, I thought we fumbled too doggone much. Otherwise, apart from that, overall, I thought we played well. That defense was great.
All right, Ralph.
Fine.
Thank you very much. And again, congratulations to you. Fred Scambatti is in here somewhere. Of course, he's got 6'2" of John Barrow in front of him. Fred, are you all set?
Well, John Barrow, I just want to get a reaction from him. John, great ball game, and you put the clinching tackle in there. Must have been a great day for you.
Oh, Fred, it was wonderful. It was wonderful.
Did you have any?
Since 1957, we've been waiting to beat Winnipeg.
Well, John, it's been a long time. Any frightening moments out there with those fumbles?
They were all frightening. It was a tremendous game. I think the Winnipeg Ball Club played excellent football. We were very fortunate to get a couple of interceptions, a few fumbles, and it certainly made a big difference.
John, it seemed to me that line play out there, this was the knocking part of the ball game.
It was interesting. It was certainly interesting, Fred.
Farrell, you got a long time to rest up for the summer.
It's going to be nice. Thank you, Fred.
Dino, this is the outstanding Canadian of the year. Dino Cars, how is it?
Well, it's just great, just great. I've lost my voice. I've been hollering so much. Fred, I want you to do me a favor. I want to say hello to my kids at home. I want to wish my father a happy birthday and my nephew Richard a happy birthday.
Couldn't have happened at a better time.
Listen, it's perfect time. It was just great, just great. Thanks, Fred.
Good man. Brad or Ken Newman?
Okay, let's get Garney Henley. Come on, Garney. Come on in here. Face the camera.
Very good.
How do you feel, Garney?
Oh, just tremendous. I thought we were going to have a tremendous ball game, just like we did. I figured our offense would score a little bit more, but believe me, we had a tremendous ball team, and it's just got to be the greatest.
Tell me, were you happier this year than you were in '63?
Well, I don't know. I think just about the same, really. But I think this year is probably more satisfying because we had an uphill climb all the way.
Very good.
Fine, thank you.
Okay, you got Angie John? Come on up there.
Big Angelo Moscas. In past years, been accused of a pretty tough ball out there. How was that line work, Angie?
Real tough today. It was strictly a running game because of the field conditions, and the linemen had to be on their toes quite a bit today.
Not too many you come back and win when you give so much away.
Yeah, I think we were fortunate, but we played good, tight football, and I had this feeling a month ago because I know the attitude of this football team.
What difference is in the game that you played against them last time when they came back and beat you 26-20?
Well, we had this in mind, don't forget, and we didn't want to give anything up. We played real tight ball right to the last.
Congratulations. Great win.
Thank you very much, John.
Okay, I'm sorry, Brad. Got Dick Cohey here. Congratulations,
Thank you,
Dick.
Ken.
I can remember about a year ago or so you were traded. You've been in a couple of Grey Cup
Yes,
finals
this
since
is
then.
so. This is so, Ken.
Are you happy with the game today?
Very happy, very happy.
That first touchdown run of yours must have been on your big thrill.
It was. It's just something I just can't explain, Ken. It's just coming from nowhere, and then all of a sudden we're champs.
Congratulations, great champions, too.
Thank you.
Okay, Dick Cohey, now Fred.
If there's a personal comeback story of the year in Canadian football, it's Marty Martinello. Marty, how do you feel about this one?
Oh, I'm real happy, Fred. Very happy, in fact. I thought the team played a terrific game. I was very happy to be the winner.
Any one particular play you remember out there today, Marty?
I can't remember any. Right now, I'm just too happy to remember anything.
And that you got the Tiger Cat stripes instead of the Argonaut blue. No blue today.
No blue today, all black and yellow.
Good, Marty Martinello. Now, Brad, have you got Joe Zuger here?
I think I have. I got somebody here. This is the quarterback, one of the two quarterbacks, Joe Zuger. And Joe, I would imagine you have to rate this as a pretty exciting day.
Well, I tell you, I almost had a heart attack out there a couple times with them 3 fumbles we made there, and boy, that's a really exciting football game, I thought.
What did you feel as though there was any particular turning point in the game, or was it just a generally exciting afternoon for you?
No, it was turning all kinds of ways there for a while. We'd fumble once, then it'd fumble, and we get a... I thought we were going to blow it, though. I think we fumbled 3 times there in the third quarter, and we finally got it back off them once, and the run of it feet has helped a lot, I think.
I don't believe either club scored a touchdown when the wind was in your teeth.
No, I think the best effort was Willie Bathia's long run there.
That long run.
Best effort of the whole day against the wind. That was a pretty stiff wind out there.
Was there any reasoning in Ralph Stazio putting Frank Cosentino in there when he did? What was the psychology behind that, Joe?
I don't really know.
He just put him in,
right?
Just to give you a bit of a rest.
Well, I had a chance to look at their defenses. I don't know if it helped me or not. I hope it did.
I can recall you saying a while back that you were throwing the ball too hard at one time during the course of the season. You were easing off a bit. You were throwing it pretty hard today.
Well, I had a lot of help with the wind there.
And the long pass with a strong wind is pretty well an impossible situation.
Right, it's almost as bad. With a strong wind, it's almost as hard as throwing against the wind, because if you get it up there too high, the wind just takes it, and you can't judge it at all.
Have you had your champagne yet?
I'm looking for some. I can't find any more.
All right, you go ahead and try and get some now.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you very much, Joe Zuger. Ken?
Okay, Brad, thank you. We got Kelly Moat here. Kelly, you were pounding those sidelines pretty good in the latter stage of that ball game.
Yes, that was a real cliffhanger. It'll make you pound.
Certainly was. Those fumbles must have worried you at times.
Yes, they did. Looked like we did everything in the world to cough up the ball, and fortunately, they fumbled right at a crucial time at the end of the ball game. Hang in there long enough, and you're bound to get a break somewhere.
Well, you know, they talked about your great defense before the series. All year they talked about it, and they certainly came up big again today, didn't they?
Yes, they've done a tremendous job all year. We have some real fine, aggressive kids that love to play football.
Long time for the 1st of July opening at training camps to this day.
Well, it's a long time, yes, but it'll be a short time from now to the next year.
Okay, Kelly, congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
Wonderful job to you and your coaching staff. Now, John.
Don Southern. Don, this is your 6th Grey Cup. How does it compare with the others?
John, this has got to be the greatest, believe me. We started out, our offense had trouble. We had a good defensive team, but we've worked hard to come this far, and we weren't going to let it slip out of our grasp.
I know at the beginning of the season, Hamilton was a good, tough ball club. I don't think at the beginning of the year you really figured that you had the chance you might have been faster. At what point in the season did you really start believing in yourselves to the extent that you might be here the way you are this afternoon?
Well, I think that out in Regina, after getting beat by Calgary, losing a tough ball game, we went in Regina and we whipped them real good. I think from that point on, the quarterbacks got their confidence, and every time out with Frank and Joe, they got their confidence, and boy, we've come a long way.
One last question: How did you defense the Winnipeg offense, or how did you plan to do it, and what changes did you have to make during the ball game?
Well, we had a couple injuries, John, as you know. We've tried to play them pretty well with like 2 basic wide corners because of their wide running. Now, we got away from that for a while, but they started hurting us. We went back into the 5-3, and we stopped it pretty well.
Well, congratulations on another great Grey Cup victory, Donald.
Thank you. Thank you.
Here he is, number 63, Bill Danachuk. And Bill, the first-year man in a Grey Cup.
Yes, sir. It's great. Let me tell you, I'm feeling great, and I knew it was going to be a real tough game, but we've got the best team in Canada, and we proved it.
Did you feel when you started the season that it was going to wind up in a Grey Cup victory?
Well, I didn't know if it was going to be a Grey Cup victory, but I knew we'd be tough and we'd be in there somewhere.
Bill, congratulations to you. The pride of the Niagara District now live in Hamilton, right?
Right, yes, sir.
Good. We'll hope to see more of you. Bill,
thank you very much.
Brad?
Okay, Brad, this is Joe Rustick. an assistant coach with the team, and we were saying just before we came on that it was an extremely hard-hitting ball game.
Brad, I'll tell you, I was impressed with both ball clubs. They hit real hard, played real tough football. I thought it'd be the big play would be made by somebody making maybe a defensive misplay or an offensive misplay. It looked like we were going to throw the ball game away at the end, but our defense held up. We won it. We're very fortunate.
This is the type of a day we're all planning, and your whole week and 2 weeks of thinking about what you're going to do today just went out the window because of the weather.
Brad, it all culminated here. We did a lot of planning. We had to adjust some both before the ball game and at the second half. And of course, you can't just open up and start throwing the ball long because the ball takes off for you. You have to throw more short and try to run the ball in there.
Would you say that Winnipeg waited a shade too long before making their big move?
I think their big strategy was to concede those early points to us. I'm talking about early in that second, third period, and then they felt that their offense would give them one score the last period, which could have worked out real well for them right at the end. But they didn't make the big play. Our defense was just a little too much.
All right, Joe, thank you very much.
Thank you, Brad. Enjoy it.
Right, Joe Restick, and now it's back to Ken.
Thank you very much, Brad. We've got Frank Cosentino with us. Frank, congratulations.
Thanks very much, Ken.
After playing in the shadow of Bernie Filoni, the great quarterback, it must have been great to come back today and win the Grey Cup as a proven professional.
Well, it's great to win the Grey Cup, but when you actually take part in it, it's even a bigger thrill. And unfortunately, with Bernie there, I've never been able to play in the Grey Cup game when Bernie has been the quarterback.
Tell me something. What was the coach's strategy in using you against the win in the late stages?
Well, I think he was just going on more or less on a gamble who, if Joe wasn't moving the ball, he'd put me in. If I wasn't moving the ball, he'd put Joe in. And I don't really know if there was any strategy concerned here because he sure couldn't pass against that wind.
Talking about a dazzling play, Frank, the one you set up with Dick Cohee's touchdown, that was a beautiful thing. Could you describe it to us?
Yes, it worked just the way the coaches diagrammed it for us. We came out in a twin right formation, and we had just a lone backfielder, Dick Cohee, in the fullback spot. And all I had to do was move down the line, and at 52, the defensive end came towards me. If he committed himself towards me, I had to flip the ball to Cohee. If he loosened off and went with Dick, then I would cut up field. We had a couple of pass plays off the same series, but unfortunately with the heavy wind, we couldn't use it.
Well, anyway, it worked great today. Have a Merry Christmas, Frank.
Thanks very much, Ken.
Okay, thank you, Frank Cosentino. Now, Fred Cambatti.
Well, here is the president and general manager of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, Mr. Jake Goddard. And Jake, you must be drained after that one.
I sure am, Fred. That has to be one of the greatest of all Grey Cup games, and it's so great to win, particularly when you win against a great team like that Winnipeg organization. They're a tough, great, hard-to-defense team.
Jake, is this Grey Cup win a vindication of that trade? We go back before the season started.
Oh, I don't know. We haven't been greatly concerned about vindication of the trade. We like to trade when we think that what we will get will strengthen things that we need to strengthen. And the boys we got did great. We gave up a lot in our great quarterback, Bernie. I think it worked out the way we hoped it would.
When you win, it certainly worked out. Was there any one particular ball player out there that caught your eye for Hamilton today, Jake?
Gosh, I don't think I could single out one, Fred, to tell the truth. One of the great things about this team is that they have played as a unit all year. They've wanted to go beyond what their individual responsibilities are in some case to help the other guy. They've just been a great one-unit operation.
Jake, when they needed it today, they had it. And certainly, sir, congratulations to you, the executive, and the ball club, the coaching staff.
Appreciate it very much, Fred.
Jake Goddard. Now, let us look around. Who haven't we had on here? John Esau. Well, here's a fellow we haven't seen. And here is Bud Grant. Bud, a tough one. A wonderful ball game by your club, though. John?
Bud, looked like this was one of those games where you dreamt a lot about strategy. And it looked like you were playing for enough to hold on to in that fourth and win it there. Is this the way you were thinking?
Well, yes, we thought if we could stay within 10 points in the fourth quarter, we'd have a good chance of winning it, of course. And we gave up 6 points, but it'd be better than 21.
Yeah, I don't think that those 6, when you look back at them, well, they would have probably been much more than 6 had you played their usual route there.
Yes, we had a couple of good kicks against the wind by Ulmer, but then there were some that were going just, I don't know how far they went. It looked like 10 or 15 yards. And Hamilton, if they would have gotten down in there and gotten a couple of touchdowns, it would have made it a long way to go in that last quarter, John. As it was, we were within distance and even up to the last play.
And it was a typical Winnipeg-Hamilton ball game, a great ball game all the way.
Well, a thrilling ball game. We're very disappointed we didn't win for all of our fans. However, Hamilton's certainly a worthy champion, and on the basis of today's play, it could have gone either way, but Hamilton, I think, deserves this Grey Cup this year. We'll have to worry about next year now, John.
Well, I'm sure the two of you will be meeting again. Congratulations to you, Bud. A great year and a great try. And we'll resume with more of our post-game activities after this message.
This new Ford Country Squire has a lot of innovations. Wait till you see this, a real convenience, a magic door gate. Opens like a tailgate for loading, and then opens like a door for passengers. Come on, Rob, let's look at the other new Fords.
The new Magic Door Gate, standard on all Ford wagons, Fairlane wagons, and available on the Falcon wagons, too. See your Ford dealer and see what the 1966 Ford wagons do for an encore.
Well, Len Back, the business manager of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, is probably the only guy that's older than the Grey Cup. And I would just like to take this opportunity to say thanks to Fred and Brad and, of course, my running mate over here, Stuke, and Johnny Bassett and Ken for joining us on our telecast and working with us all year. On behalf of everybody, we hope you've enjoyed it. This is Johnny East on behalf of the gang and our whole football crew saying goodbye now from Toronto.
Canadian professional football. This half of today's game has been brought to you by Ford of Canada on behalf of your local Ford and Mercury dealers to offer you Canada's most exciting family of fine cars and trucks.
This is the CBC Television Network.